Look, my friend, I know that the world is an extremely scary place at the moment, but I assure you, it's going to get way worse. Hey there, everyone, and welcome to Lore Ramblings. The name's Adam.
I'm Tech Priest.
And I'm Instant, and we're going to be going into a hopefully not relevant RPG,
It
Twilight
probably won't
2000.
be, hopefully. Please?
I would say that Twilight 2000, this is the 4th edition. The original released in the late
80s.
80s.
Yeah, like in the
When
aftermath of Able
So,
Archer in the 83 missile scare.
yes, a brief history lesson. The guys who did Traveler are the same ones who did this.
Yeah, if you're wondering, it's Game Designers Workshop, and they made quite a few games. They made Twilight 2000, they made Traveler, they had a couple of others that I am just not remembering that I know we covered. They have a
They
pretty
had,
good
they had their
variety.
fingers in a decent amount of pies.
They went
Twilight
bust.
2000,
They went
they
bust,
went
and
bust.
eventually a lot of their stuff was divested. I think Mongoose got their hands on it, and now it's Free League games in collaboration with Mongoose. Things are a bit of a mess.
No,
we did
Free
space.
League has
We
this.
did
Mongoose has the rights to the older editions, as far as I understand it.
yeah, Space 1888,
Yeah, that's the other
Cadillacs
one I
or 89,
remember.
and Cadillacs and Dinosaurs.
That one
Yeah,
was such a disappointment.
I know, right?
It has Cadillacs and dinosaurs. How did you screw that up?
I know, right?
Yeah, I mean, at
But
least the
no,
space one's fine.
the the big one is how do I put this? The original Twilight 2000 comes out at a very unique time. And one of the things that's happening soon after it kind of gets going is the Gulf War.
Oh
So
yeah,
so one of the
yeah, Desert
so
Storm.
one of the so one of the fun twists of history is that the Twilight 2000 various source books for it suddenly shot up the New York Times bestseller list. Why? Because you couldn't find a Jane's fighting vehicles anywhere for print at a reasonable price. And there were people who were very curious about the hardware. And to the credit of Games Design Workshop, a lot of their original source books for vehicles, it was kind of, well, with a discount Jane's. They included a lot of information about technical specifications, which they then used to inform statistics, which created some weirdness because they also included a couple of speculative vehicles. Like, uh, all right, follow with me here.
Oh, please tell me they
There
have some of the
was,
Soviet objects.
they have, I think, one of them, but the more interesting one is this Abrams M1A3, the giraffe. Why
Wait,
is it the giraffe?
why did? Oh, they brought that thing in.
Yes, it's the unmanned turret variant.
Do they have? Do they have the? Oh, what is it? I think it's called the T. Is it the IV one or TV one? The weird one that Khrushchev made.
They might in one of the books. I'd have to
It's
go
one of
through
those
my
ones
my
where they let's replace turret with missile, and it was terrible at it. So what happened was most of them got converted to recovery vehicles.
I mean, I'm going to say this right off the bat. The ATGM carrier concept that they were playing around with was by all means a viable one about 10 years later. The early anti tank missile carriers were very bad because no one sort of knew what the best control method was, how many to carry, what the best like range, mobility, all these other factors were. They had no idea what they were doing, which resulted in some really wonky creations like the SS-14 French version, which they slapped in the front of an AMX-13 to try to modernize it. And I pity anyone who had to try to fire one of those fucking things off of a fucking AM-13.
Heck, I'm gonna let you
Yeah,
say, I think about a handful of people currently understand what you're talking about.
Okay, so let me find a picture of this thing.
Because here's the thing, the picture will give you 1,000 words, most of them being French invectives and insults to the designer's mother.
It was the SS14 was a later model. The SS11. Here's the War Thunder version of
But
it.
You need to also show the leopard giraffe. Coyote wants to see the leopard giraffe.
Okay, the giraffe. Let me. So there is. I put it in the Discord for the AMX.
Which I do have a
The
link in the description, but don't worry. Let me just make sure I have everything set. Okay, we
what
are
in the
being
fuck is
competent.
that?
That's the giraffe. It's a
that's
fantastic
not the
creature.
giraffe. That is not the giraffe at all.
Oh yes, the SS11. Oh
One
lord.
of the stupidest, worst fucking missiles.
It's
That you
one
could
of
It's a
the
get your.
missile.
designs of all time.
For those
It
who
was a
can't see it,
terrible missile even for the era. It was.
it's a missile platform with a
Yeah,
gun turret.
it's so terrible that I do have to show you.
This is an attempt to basically
I'm
get
gonna
some
have
life
to
out
go
of
onto the wiki.
the
It's pretty bad.
AMX-13. Mostly because the AMX-13 by this point was getting pretty outdated. Uh, it's a French oscillating turret 75 millimeter autoloader, which should already tell you kind of what you're dealing with. The AMX
Oh lord.
so the problem with the SS11 is, well, it's a first generation anti-tank missile, which means Maklos guidance, man control, which means that if you fire it and if you have the directional input even slightly off, it goes nose first into the ground.
Yeah, I need to show this. I'm sorry, this thing is an abomination. You need to see it to believe it. Because here's the
That
thing: if
the
you don't know what this stuff looks like, well, here it is. Here it is in all of its glory. Oh my god.
This is, however, the giraffe concept, which is I
I don't think
the
that's it.
giraffe is a different vehicle concept. It is. I'll link it to you here too, Imsid. I sent it to Adam. The giraffe
Ah,
is one of those things
wunderbar.
where like this doesn't actually work like that. But they were looking at one of the original ideas for like uh the
I love the name
TTT.
of this abominable creation.
Yeah, the thing is there, as I said before, there was a perspective design document done for the catab.
You need to explain what a catab is. Not everyone
So
knows what that
the
is.
catab was an experimental
Here's the giraffe, by
design
the way,
theory.
for those curious. Doesn't it look fantastic? Don't you want to
So there
ride in battle with this thing? I feel safe. I feel safe already. Can we get the Chrysler nuclear tank? I think that thing looks a
the
little less
Chrysler nuclear tank
ridiculous.
is yeah. No, this the thing with this is that the TTB concept is this turret.
This turret that does what?
Basically, all right. So back in the 80s, the U.S. Army was
It was soul
trying
searching.
things,
It was soul searching
and
because
General
they just
Dynamics.
lost in Nam.
No, this is way after that. Like this is tank development. This is a bit of a different story. Here's the picture for that, because General Dynamics was playing around with the Abrams design, because the Abrams was sort of rushed into service initially. It was originally meant to have a 120 millimeter gun, but the M1 model had to use the 105 because the 120 wasn't ready yet for them. It was perfectly acceptable on the German one, but they couldn't just take the German gun and throw it onto their own chassis due to like some, if I remember correctly, it was something with like either a weight distribution or recoil system problem.
It was, I think,
So
weight distribution.
as soon as they solved that issue, they upgraded it to the M1A1, which is relatively easy to do for a lot of in production models. And like the difference between like the A1 and the A2 is pretty minor. I think it's just armor packages, very easy to retrofit, relatively speaking.
Armor packages,
But
improved electronic suite a little bit, and that's about it.
but yes,
That's
this
about
is the
it.
TTB,
But how
the
does this
tank
relate to?
test bed.
How does this relate though to the game we're talking about?
So a lot of
It
people,
will
what
in a
happened
second.
is a lot of gearheads who are very curious on, wait a minute, how did America defeat like one of the biggest armies in the world in like a month? How did this happen? I don't understand. I am angry and confused like caveman. So what happened was there was a shortage on information about this sort of stuff. And
Basically, you've got to remember this is pre-internet.
by the way,
Like
here's
internet
this
Ba-
getting big.
creature.
Basically, a role-playing game became a source book for people to try to understand how America was so successful in the Gulf War.
In fairness,
It
this is
was
not the first time an RPG did this. A lot of the expanded universe from Star Wars, the same thing happened with West End.
Yes, although
right.
in West case they're
This is a
creating
little bit
lore, not
different.
you know.
It's a bit different,
This
yes.
is this is going out and having this design, right? Like, so they've got their design, they've got all that going on, and then they put that right on the top of the page because it is genuinely a pretty useful reference guide for that era of military equipment. The late 80s, some of the stuff that would be coming up into their early 90s, at least prospectively, and then like a few other things that were being talked about, and of
Also,
course, like the
yeah.
GTB, they knew about that because remember, one of the guys over at GDW was ex-army, so he had a few friends, I think, in armor development that he was asking about things, and they mentioned this fucking thing, and
Also,
the
I'd say also, what movie had come out in 1984?
Red Dawn,
Yeah, and what is Red Dawn all about?
Russia's
World War
managing to
Three,
invade, yeah.
but
Correct.
yes, so
Well,
sorry,
they made a remake where it
I
was
want to.
North Korea because they couldn't have the People's
They couldn't
Republic
have the
of China could
Chinese.
do it.
They couldn't have the Chinese because they didn't want to get banned in China.
I'm
So
sorry, Chairman G. You're not capable of invading America. Now the Kims of the People's Republic of North Korea, no, they have the ability and strength. I know. They carry you. People's Republic of China. That is what
Oh,
Hollywood kind of said because of that.
now, but yes, that's the giraffe concept. That's why it looks like it does. It's based on this fucking thing. There
so
was
this
also a
entire
proposal to mount a 140 millimeter chemical electric gun onto the M1A1. That never went through.
I mean, there's also the proposal to stick wings on what was it, the M113 so it can fly.
That is never a serious proposal. There was never any actual design work
What are
done.
you
That is
talking
one dude
about?
model kit.
Sparks made entire models in micro form to display its capabilities of being airdropped.
The
so
the wings
so
on that are too short. There's a bunch of things I can say about that. I'm not going to get into that.
so what happens in this game though?
War were declared. So the original version and the later versions that were published, like second edition, have some differences. The first edition sort of has the Cold War go hot, this classic Soviets invade scenario in like '99,
The
and
basic
then you're
concept is based on information because at this point we kind of knew since some of this information was leaked from like the 70s and earlier. The Soviets always believed that what would succeed is a very quick offensive war because they knew otherwise that the Americans would nuke them. So very quick counter knockout and just try to hold the old world. That was kind
there's
of
a
their
bit more than
strategy.
that. There's a bit more than that. No, a lot of the Soviet plan, like one of the
Tended to be that the U.S. would launch first.
well, almost everyone was assuming the other side was going to launch
Yeah.
first. Like that was this thing about it. No, the Soviet plans were basically that the counterattack would they deal with whatever incursion happened over the border and immediately launch their own counterattack. This counterattack's objective was to get to the Rhine River and get basically establish control of it within a week. Because after that, they basically their plan with that was that they were gambling that if they can seize the major ports along the Rhine, that renders the only places that can land inside of like major troop movements need to be able to land in Europe. The only places that they could would be, well, France. And France is in a weird relationship with the rest of NATO at this period because of de Gaullism.
I mean, it's
In
resolved somewhat, but in the 70s, it was still a big thing.
It was still a factor. The they also didn't really have an idea of what French actual thinking was at the time, which is sort of
In fairness, not even the French are aware of what they're thinking half the time.
oh no, they knew 100% what they were doing. I will explain that in a second. So the idea was to basically seize the major ports, the Netherlands and Germany, and basically control northern Germany, force American troops to be outflanked alongside the Rhine River, and make it so that any sort of counterattack is basically pointless. They already control the Ruhr River Valley. They already control all this. It's going to be a bloodbath to kick them out, and therefore they'll be able to get peace terms because at that point you've knocked out the entire army of Great Britain, you've knocked out Germany, France might not be ready to mobilize in time, and the Americans are still a week out.
That's kind of
That's the plan.
amusing. That's very World War I and World War II German thinking.
Well, that's the plan. And the plan also, by the way, was the following: nuke everything. So
Sacrifice
the
the
only
surface
way,
fleet too, especially so that they can get their
yes,
subs to nuke everything.
so the idea was basically that they are going to make a gamble that if they can take enough territory and take enough control, that they can effectively force the NATO to the negotiating table with the basically with the point that like we could start going after full-on cities. We've already tactical nuked a lot of troop displacement, like troop distributions and other things like that. Do you really want this to continue? You're going to get hurt worse than we will at this point. The the counterpoint to that is that the French had and still have a very interesting nuclear use policy. The French doctrine is to use a demonstration strike on a target for basically to make a point. This target would be launched when the French line is crossed, whatever this negotiable nuclear red line is. That nuclear red line was usually was basically going to be Soviet troops at the Rhine. At which point the French were going to launch, and they were going to nuke wherever there was the largest concentration of Soviet troops, and then attack their own counteroffensive. Now, I want to note that they would expect retaliation, and the French deterrence policy is basically like, yes, you can wipe us out with all of your nukes, but we will kill your most important sites. We have enough for that.
And they do, because that
So,
was one of the reasons they focused so hard on nuclear energy. The other is specifically so that they just were independent energy wise.
yes. Now, this means also that theoretically, the cause of the nuclear holocaust globally, up until about the 80s, was going to be that with NATO forces looking to be overrun around the Rhine, that the French were going to launch nukes,
So
and
anyway,
then everyone was going to
I
start launching.
started blasting. No, no, France, no. Weh. Begins
Now,
blasting.
that's, however, if the nuclear artillery along the inner German border weren't fired first. There were a lot of nuclear artillery shells.
As mentioned by Coyote, I speak for the Fulda Gap, and the Gap speaks Davy Crockett.
Well, Davy Crockett's a bit of a
So,
different.
in this situation, well, what happens is this. Soviet Union does not collapse in 91. The Gang of Eight does not the Gang of Eight coup succeeds, and we end up going into a bit of a hot war. That
Eventually,
hot
It takes
the
war,
time.
details differ
that
between
yeah,
editions.
the hot war at some point ends up obliterating any assets that can get to resupply forces in Eastern Europe. And then
Basically
the
put,
nukes go off, and then
so
silence.
here's the basics. What happens is that the the Soviets are at this point losing the war that they started. Like originally it's that the Germans invaded Poland, the Soviets respond, they lose, they push the Germans back a bit, the Americans come in, they roll them back out uh, of Germany and deep into Poland and are looking to get into the SSSR, at which point the Soviets launch their own nuclear counterattack, push the Americans back into Poland. And then it sort of stalemates from there, where then both sides eventually hit the point where they start engaging in uh, strategic nuclear warfare.
This
Where,
actually reminds me of something.
what?
So the first version of Twilight 2000, this was in the 80s, yes?
Yes.
And they describe. Here's the interesting fact: Fallout was actually designed to run off of GURPS originally.
Yes.
What is to prevent us from thinking that the concept of at least the outline for what led to the Great War was not based on a game of Twilight 2000 that went wrong?
It's very possible.
Possibly.
But
If you're
but let's
curious, if you're
circle
wondering,
back.
the special stats specifically are because they were originally going to use GURPS. They realized that getting the rights for that was a nightmare. And actually, the term special was actually not even what it was originally called. It was like some other weird acronym until they realized that if you strung it together, it formed the word special.
Right.
But
Sort of
so
back to this. So the details aren't really super relevant
They're
to
a bit
whatever edition.
vague, especially since
nor is it
edition
really
conversions.
necessary. The
It's
basics
not
of
really
this
necessary,
are
but you have to
the
understand
yeah
the basics are you're fucked. You're on
you
your
are
own,
yeah, you are a
Soviet
bunch
and
of
Soviet
them
ground
up.
forces,
You
American
are a
army,
bunch.
French
Yeah,
legion, it doesn't matter. Europe is a fucking hellhole.
and you're
the
in a
original Twilight 2000, the only government in Europe that hasn't collapsed yet is France. And they are busy shooting every refugee they can find. Same with the Swiss.
Sounds about right.
so
Uh,
what no matter what, you're in a foreign country with no resources, limited ammunition, nowhere to go, no one to contact, and everywhere around you is a potential threat.
to give you an idea, the last radio message you got from command after the attempted counter push to try to figure out something went haywire was good luck. You're on your own. Because they
Godspeed.
were being overrun, and they're basically like, all right, at this point, we are effectively no longer effective fighting force. Good luck. You're on your own. Every unit is out for themselves. And if you are in, say, Poland, which is generally the default assumption for this game, you start out by a town called Kalitz. And this is where most campaigns of Twilight 2000 will start.
Because
And
it's where the
we're
most of the material was designed, so and also let's
And
be
where
fair, a
most
lot
of
of
them
games
will
end here.
end.
Yeah, most of you
and where
times you
most of it
die.
will end. Because I have to stress this. The first edition of this game was very lethal. Every edition has kept up with that. Even the current one, which is a little more forgiving, is still very lethal.
What do we mean by that? Say you get a
What I
bullet
mean
in
by
your
that is,
leg.
if you get shot, you will fucking die. If you drink the wrong stuff, you will fucking die. If you get exposed to radiation poisoning, you will fucking die. If you get exposed to nerve agents, you will fucking die. The
This is one of the most lethal games that I know of. Besides, there is, I believe it's called Aces and Eights, which does something similar.
I mean, I'd argue it's more lethal than paranoia.
It is,
No,
and
paranoia is more lethal because
paranoia is more
paranoia
lethal
is
because you're
literally just
expected to cheat them, but lethality, it's pretty close. The only reason I'd
the
say Aces,
lethality of
no,
this.
here's the thing: Aces and Eights is a fun one because you can actually die during your duel and still have enough actions to kill the other guy. You can win your duel technically and then die from blood loss because of the way that actions are done in
That
tenths
can
of a
also
second,
happen in Twilight.
which is
So,
fantastic.
like they've simplified the combat rules from the original, but I mean, there's also a good chance that you just catch cholera and die. Like this game does not fuss around the fact that
Look, I'm sorry,
you
Tech. Your army officer who was the leader of the remnants of this platoon, you just caught the shits and died. I'm sorry, man.
basically yes. The
Got
original
our new
version.
character. Look, I
Also,
know you've only played this character for the first hour of
Do
the
you have
first
any
session.
disinfectant? Do you have any disinfectant? You don't, and you took a gut shot? Congratulations, you're dead. Like, they do not mince words on that in any of the editions. This current one, I love it to death in that it has a very detailed critical hit table,
Ooh.
which can get
Yeah.
very, very fun. But
So
yes, so
the basics of your character is to start off
this is
with.
the fourth edition. So the
Well,
basics
before
that they
then,
state is
some
that,
of the
like,
frameworks is so. Here's the thing: later editions, originally the concept was your remnants of the militaries from either the Eastern Bloc or from the West. They added more.
mostly
Like
Americans.
you could be civilians now. Imagine you're in Kelis. You're this poor Polish person that now has to deal with banditry and nightmares. You could be the remnants of the militia from the area. You could be
Prisoners.
One of
prisoners who
the
broke free from a gulag.
one of my favorite things that they basically make a point of is that, like, at this point, nationality is really starting to get blurred. Everyone's sort of out for themselves. Because it's been about a year since the bombs dropped, the nuclear winter kicked in, and combine that with the fact that a lot of the oil infrastructure got hit, it sucks. There's a lot of people that are dying from starvation.
Or just being cold, because that's another way. Look, did you guys remember to stockpile petrol for the heat? Oh, so I'm
Hey,
gonna
if you
need
ever,
you to
if you've
roll
ever,
new characters because
hey,
the
if
winter
you,
hit and the
hey, if you
frostbite was
has
harsh.
has anyone ever seen Threads? It's that, but the game.
There's an entire source book for the UK from I think the first or second edition, which is basically threads. There's a few other fun bits with that where they're talking about, like, how the like the various gangs and stuff that are arising in the UK because of the governmental effectively collapsing. Uh,
And elsewhere, the road.
Oh, also for Jimothy Suitwad, I think we're mostly covering fourth edition because this is the book
Yeah.
this
we're
is
reading.
entirely a fourth edition review because fourth edition's been out since 2018, I think.
We're just giving a bit of
Yeah.
highlights because there's still commonalities between the earlier ones, but this is just the easiest one to get your hands on. We have I've put a link
It
into the
is
in the
current.
description.
It is the most current version. It is still well supported. It has a still active community online making fan content that you can purchase.
And on top of that, the website still allows you to buy copies of it, which is very nice. You can't always say that about RPG books.
Right. So we're covering it also because it's the most accessible version. It's arguably the easiest version to learn how to play as well.
Well,
Simply
yeah,
because
because it's
it's
slightly less
freely.
ruthless. Look, imagine okay,
Well,
imagine if at the beginning of your third session, because of what happened in the last session, and you forgot to restart. Like I said, I love the mental image of okay, so you all wake up dead. What?
Basically, you all caught a
It's
disease and died.
no.
You
Even
know,
dumber. Remember how you forgot to actually get fuel for your heater?
you could have all frozen to death. Yeah, like there are a lot of ways that you can die in this.
Look, I'm
I
sorry, Imp. Your character got bit by that dog like 5 sessions ago.
You have rabies. You're now dead. Yeah, like that. So this game has its very like this is a game that has a very hardcore following among certain people, and I 100% like understand that and dig it because this is a game that is incredibly freeform once you get beyond that point. The opening bit of this game, they
It's like
of this
Stuffer
book.
Shack. For those of you who've ever played Shadowrun, it's kind of like if you ever start with Stuffer Shack as your opening adventure, and then you just kind of freeball it through the rest of Seattle.
I
Kind of
mean,
like
like
page
that.
8,
the game,
right?
the game gives you fucking hex maps to
It
use.
has a ton of it. The game assumes you're going to be doing a hex crawl in the best way possible. And I dig it because it basically means that, like, if you want to do a really in-depth accounting for that sort of stuff, well, grab Google Maps, grab this hex map, and try to reconnoiter what the fuck you're near in central Poland. And it is a trip, let me tell you. I discovered a lot of landmarks that are very interesting leftovers from, like, the late Renaissance, like early modern period. There's a bunch of stuff that's left over from the medieval era that probably wouldn't have gotten hit. There's a few major towns that have some very interesting landmarks. well, not major towns, but you know what I mean. Like World Heritage sites and things like that are relatively close to where you start that probably would have survived the cataclysm and give a lot of flavor to the well, area. Because then
One
you
of the
also have
more
to
interesting
remember,
ones that one of the funnier crawls I've done in that area, if you actually look near Belarus, Lithuania, and Poland, there's actually a military
Kowalski Gap.
cemetery. Yeah, there's a little military cemetery in Lithuania that's like right on the border there, and that could just be like a really weird battle map.
That's
Like,
one of the other great things about this is that it has that as an option where it's like, so you know all these like weird locations that you know of, like in modern day. Yeah, now imagine having a firefight in an Arby's because someone
Ramirez.
thinks like, yeah,
Ramirez,
it's time
take
to
that missile
secure
launcher.
Burger Town, the Polish post-communist Burger Town.
no. I'm just now envisioning in my head the central the department stores that they would build as a part of their supply network, as a part of their command economy supply network. Like you're kicking down the door of the equivalent of communist Macy's or Kohl's.
Right, because you're looking for goddamn wood fuel to run your vehicle. Like the I'm gonna go to page 8 in the book here because it has a really good point about like,
Oh,
well,
you're
why
actually
is this
further
game have
behind
the
than I
fans?
was. All right, let's move on.
Oh, I sorry, I didn't realize that.
No. So I want to show this. So this beautiful metal box, which is what inspired a 40K model.
M113.
If you
I
put
It's
wings
fucking
just
on
the
love
it, it
this
can
game.
APC.
fly.
It's the APC.
It
It,
is the default APC from everything because it is at its core. This is like the metal box.
Metal
The
boxes.
it is a very simple, very shit design that is nonetheless still in service across the world and is
a lot of African
well, it's a
militaries still
bitch.
use it.
Oh,
Not African, not at all. No, most of the militaries that use it are actually in Southeast Asia right now and
That's
in Europe.
oh.
Oh yeah.
So,
I thought
like
some of them were
the
like in some.
Philippines have a quite a few that are active. The Vietnamese still have a few that
That's
are
why I was
active.
confused because they get used a lot. If I remember right, I think Apocalypse Now actually had M113 specifically.
Well, yes, because it came out just before Vietnam. I think it was first in service in like 64, 65.
Well, no,
So
the other thing is because what happened was I remember this during the filming of Apocalypse Now. They had to the Filipino military actually took all of their M113s to suppress a rebellion in the south.
yes, yes,
So
because they were
so they
borrowing
had
them
to
from the
stop
Filipino
filming for
government.
like a
Yes,
month, and when they got back, some
you
of
can
them had
actually
bullet
find
dents in them.
you can actually find some fantastic pictures of M113s in Marowai that have like a pleek armor designed to defeat RPG-2s, which is literally, and I'm stressing this here, it is fucking cardboard boxes that have been flattened and then just slapped on the side
Oh,
because that's enough to diffuse the RPG-2's warhead.
yep. Another fun thing about the M113, this is also one of the first APCs the Americans cranked out that is designed to be used in the aftermath of a nuclear exchange, like a tactical nuclear exchange. So
Theoretically,
it has internal
theoretically it
filter
does, but
systems hypothetically.
most of those filter systems were effectively speaking just like the ones in the BMP and the T62 and the T72 and even the M1. Most of those were, yes, it's a theoretical
It
capability.
hypothetically works.
It
But what
hypothetically works, but
but
testing it would be something you don't want
what
to
we're getting
do.
at
Don't
here
worry, we'll get to test it here. Go on now.
is what
Go
we
through
get
the
to do in this
Polish
game.
Arby's. Go through the
So,
Polish Arby's
But
in the
what do we
box
get to
and
do
die.
in this game is what I'm trying to talk about
stay
and why
alive.
this game has appealed to me, which is the first one is, yeah, stay alive. Which is a fantastic thing. If you want this to be your gritty, oh, it's threads, but we're all fucking whatever the fuck, sure, you can do that.
Are you tired of
If you
feeling
want,
like a main character because you've only been able to play D&D 5th edition because your players refuse to move on? Do you, like Hasbro, contemplate just straight up shoving your head into a Magic the Gathering deck and inhale the fumes until you go asleep? Why not try Twilight 2000, where even the simplest of mistakes can result in death? The
hey,
staying
you know that
alive, the
am
true victory.
Did you like Fallout Dust and Frost, but wanted to not give Bethesda money?
Try Twilight 2000. You'll die in the Polish Arby's from radiation sickness.
You joke, but you can die pretty fast from radiation poisoning, and they mention a bunch of this stuff where it's like,
Because it's
th-
invisible. It's silent.
right.
And if you've ever seen Chernobyl, you don't end up well.
One of the things that most of the people that would have died from
Oh,
acute
look, it's
radiation
a beautiful
sickness
rainstorm. It begins
are
leaching black
already
rain.
most basically put that's like the risk is black rain contamination from the dust storms and things like that. But most of the radiation by this point is no longer as active. If you actually do like the math, the designers didn't quite understand how the half-life worked.
Well, they
Uh,
didn't understand because there's different classifications of nuclear weapons. Some
it's not
most of the time it's based on how it gets deployed.
that. Most of these blasts would be airbursts, so you
Yeah.
wouldn't have a lot of fallout. But that's one of the reasons why I say that nuclear winter is very unlikely, because to have nuclear winter, you'd have to have enough ground bursts for that to be a viable thing, when air bursts are not only more efficient, but more destructive.
So, the other things that you do in this game is yes, you could help other people.
Help people out,
Why?
search for information. It is another big one, which I think is actually kind of an interesting thing where it's like, you know what? You guys are going to try to find out why the fuck any of this happened. Because
What was the point of
Well,
all this?
actually, no. It's more this. What has happened in the next town over? Is it destroyed by nukes? Are the bridges blown up? Because on the map there's bridges, but we don't know.
I'm just now
right,
envisioning.
and
Okay, hear me out. I have a really funny idea. Yakov's 10,000. Essentially, it's Xenophon's Anabaptist trying to just get back home to the deepest parts of the Soviet Union.
one of the
You're just
interesting
Ivan
ideas
Ivanov, and you're just
I've
trying to get
seen
back home.
is basically this is sort of reference is basically you are a group of mixed like POWs from both sides, whatever, the banded together, and it's like there's one guy in there that's like rushing. He's like, you know what? I bet you that like there's somewhere in Bessarabia that it's okay. We're gonna try to get there.
The Moldovan SSR has always been poorest than Soviet Russia. They probably
No
did
one
not
would
get
nuke it.
nuked.
Yeah.
No one
We
would
must
nuke
go
it.
to
So let's go.
Tiraspol. We must go
Yeah,
to Tiraspol.
Perhaps
Y-
another thing is trying to find a way home,
That's a
especially if
big
you're an
one. That's
American.
actually the plot of some of the original adventures is trying to get home, which is, well, there's been a alert that's put out where they're saying that we do have some tankers, we do have some shipping that's still active. All forces report back here because Milgov wants you back home to kill Civgov. Because old Twilight
Because
2000 lore, the government split because of the nuclear apocalypse. There's now two competing governments in the United States. There is CivGov, which is the remnants of the actual civilian military government, which is, not interested in trying to prosecute the war further and trying to figure out what the fuck to do. And
and
then
then
there's
there's
Milgov, which is determined to win the war at any cost.
Which is
aka
interesting.
aka government run by Colonel Kurtz.
You say
Yes.
that, but if I remember right, the president that got impeached in the aftermath of this disaster was part of Milgov's
Well,
thing.
yes, because he was ex-military.
Yeah.
Perhaps you could
So,
call it. Perhaps you could call it an enclave.
right. Like,
Hmm.
Milgov's of the opinion that, like, you know what? The war is still technically on. We should still be in charge.
But
It also didn't help because from what I recall, in the aftermath of this catastrophe, multiple politicians got assassinated by civilians who basically said, "What the fuck, bruv?"
Yeah, so there's also that. Like, you could run a
there's
campaign
a lot.
entirely
I
in
think
the
there's
United States.
a lot of historical fiction that you could run with this. Like who would be alive in the United States? Because this would have been 2000. We wouldn't have had the same government, but
Well, also as an idea. Spoiler warning: the war was actually an attempt to postpone the release of the Epstein files that backfired.
Epstein would still be
Hey,
alive. I could see New
your
Trump City.
objective Your objective is to try to get to Epstein's Island.
No, no,
Well,
no,
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 no.
no, no.
Because
Search
that's
for
where it goes.
information. What do
No,
you
no, no,
think
no,
you're
no.
doing in Europe? You're trying to find his backers.
New Trump City, from the ashes of the apocalypse, the gilded golden remnant of what was once America.
I'm just envisioning like Trump as a warlord from Mar-a-Lago declaring himself as the free president under reform.
The funniest fucking thing is
Ralph
that if you
Nader.
propose that to
Fuck
them,
it, no. Ralph Nader as a
Ralph Nader, the road
as
warrior. Because remember, that's where he got his start.
wow, there's some deep cuts out of that you could do for like 90s culture in the United States with this if you really wanted to do it. But back over to this. The two places that this edition focuses on for campaigns is actually interesting because they touch on one that would have been a hot point during the war if it
They,
had
they,
ever
they
gone
did it
hot.
because Free League is Swedish, but here's the
But they
thing.
did it because Free League is Swedish.
No, here's the other thing. You're correct in that this is one of the best points because the entire thing of Sweden's method is, look, we're trying to stay neutral. Oh, you're going to drag it. Okay, we'll punch you as hard as we did in the Great Northern War. We'll die, but we're going to make you lose an eye before we go down.
To sum up the Swedish defense strategy, the Swedish defense strategy was very simple. We do not surrender. Any declaration of surrender is a lie and is not true. If the war happens, you go to your book, you listen to the commands. Those who are going to fight, you grab your weapons, you go in the woods. A lot of Swedish military thinking was very simple, which is that to get to us, they're going to have to get through Finland and northern Norway, or they're going to have to land around the coast. They are going to attrition themselves in Finland. Finland would be overrun pretty quickly, aside from guerrilla pockets. Most of the population is along the coast in the south, and the Finnish military was not equipped to deal with that.
Not after the continuation war.
Not after the continuation war, not after the fact is that a lot of Swedish policy in the Cold War was Finnish policy in the Cold War was basically like, we aren't going to poke the bear.
We fucked around and found out twice. It wasn't worth it.
However, we are going to buy military equipment and use all of their ammunition that we can, just in case. All of the Swedish heavy weapons, everything like that, was compatible with Soviet ammunition for a very specific reason. Well, if they do get invaded, well, you can't get supplies outside of what you're capturing.
But, if we chamber our weapons in 7.62 rimmed or 5.45, we don't have to give a shit about any of that.
Most of it was 7.62 by 39 Russian. They also, of course, were using a lot of older Imperial Russian stockpile, so it made sense to keep some of this shit. A lot of other Finnish stuff was very small purchases from the West of certain equipment. Otherwise, they bought a decent chunk of Soviet equipment. A lot of T-55s, some T-72s. Not a lot, but enough.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so I think
Sweden,
it's time to get. I was going to say, I think it's time to get into character creation.
We could.
Right,
By the way, hello there,
quickly,
Metric Steel. It's great to see you here, especially since this is a game that you like. And yes, your character can die of gangrene. We've actually joked repeatedly about how your characters could just. So hey guys, so at the beginning of this session, I'm sorry to say that my character has died. I forgot that he was sick and we did not get enough
He touched
blankets.
raw chicken with his hands cut. He caught salmonella and died.
I'm sorry, man. I'm dead, so I'm gonna have to make a new character. I'll use Torvald. Oh shit, Torvald also died from salmonella poisoning. Fuck.
So how do you make a character?
Well, it's very simple.
There's two
types.
Impsit,
can you please let me finish my autistic fixation about Sweden and Cold War
politics?
It's
been 47 minutes.
Yes, this book is not long enough for more.
Don't worry, it'll be quick.
All right.
Not the Spurging, but this book.
Okay.
Well, the Spurging too, because I just wanted to finish off like the whole thing of like the entire strategy of Sweden, which is that they were going to use the northern part of the country as effectively one giant ambushed factory. Because they rightfully knew that there were only a few roads that they would know of that the Soviets would have zero clue about.
There's one rail line
other
that
than
goes
along
to
the
Turku
coastal
that you could sabotage. There's a couple of roads, It's mostly forest. It's mostly mountains. Good
So
luck,
basically, to get
fucko.
through that, good luck, fucko, navigating that if you're not local. And that was basically the Swedish plan. It's why also the S tank design is like how it is, because the Swedish were planning on using it as an ambush vehicle. It doesn't
This is
need a
also
turret
why
because
didn't
it's
they
going to be
build
in
like
close
hidden
quarters.
airfields and stuff?
No, they instead built a lot of roadways as dual purpose roadways.
Ah, yeah.
And they designed their aircraft to launch from these very short runways to launch attacks. A lot of Swedish planning was to try to intercept any Soviet landing craft in the Baltic with air power, because the Swedish Navy was not very big. They had some submarines, they had some surface vessels, but otherwise they were going to try to strike as many landing craft as they could with attack runs,
They had enough of
and
a
effectively
navy
engage
to
in.
aggressively patrol their coasts and basically force the Russians to fight briefly.
Right, and the idea was that they would force this engagement, they would go in with their air power and bounce whatever fighters could be launched from the Russians in a surprise attack. Uh, this is also why Gotland was very important to both sides in the Cold War planning.
This is also
Uh,
why whenever the Soviets attempted to do any form of border fuckery in the territorial waters, the
the
Swedes would,
Swedish responded aggressively.
yes,
There was nearly a war because of a whiskey class submarine that
getting
got
stuck.
washed ashore.
It got
Yeah,
stuck.
in
No,
Sweden.
it didn't get washed ashore. What happened was it got stuck in a shallows area that they forgot they didn't
Yes,
notice.
they didn't know the tide pattern and the depth of the water around there. So the whiskey is the incident sometimes termed it's the whiskey on the rocks, because it literally ran aground. So it was the Soviets were very not happy about that one and very
And they kept
embarrassed by
pressuring
it.
Sweden. Sweden's response is, "Come and take it, motherfucker."
More like, this is this your submarine? The Soviets like, no, that's not, but give it back to us. it was it was a lot of denial, because the Soviets officially had been stating repeatedly for years, until they were blue in the face, that they were not at all
Violating
interfering in
water territory.
Swedish waters. They were not in Swedish territorial waters. They never went in there. They'd never authorized anything like that. So when the submarine turns up on a basic espionage mission, gets stuck, suddenly, well, the Soviets are eating a lot of crow and trying desperately to get the Swedish to release a submarine before they like actually take it. It nearly comes to a short engagement between local Swedish forces and like a Soviet destroyer at one point, which would have been the funniest engagement of the Cold War, because the Soviets were very specifically told not to shoot back.
It would have been funnier if they still lost that, because this is the same country, like it's the same spiritual descendants of the country that lost to fishing boats,
Right.
and a
No,
country
like
that had no navy.
it's a wild story. There's a lot of other stuff, but basically put, Sweden would have been important to take because of the strategic picture. Otherwise, if you're trying to seize control of the entrance to the Baltic, you have to go through the Danish belts.
Which, good
You
luck.
also have to good luck. That's fun. That's hard. The other bit about that is that by controlling Sweden, you can possibly knock out Norway faster than having to fight through the mountains.
But specifically for Twilight, just very quickly to get back in, because as Nicholas quotes, "Come for the RPG, stay for the history spurging. Your RPG content, sir."
Yes, your RPG content, sir. Character creation.
Well, before then,
This
very
edition
quickly,
has a really good.
I just wanted to, because Sweden specifically, this was added. The US invaded first, then the Soviets followed, and
The U.S.
essentially
took
it's a
Gotland.
Thunderdome.
Well, more like this. The if I remember correctly, the Swedish the Americans invade Gotland. They negotiate with the Swedish government, basically, that like, no, we need this for emergency landing purposes. We're not actually like taking territory here. Uh, we just want the airstrip. That's it. And then the Soviets then counter invade Sweden, uh, because they think that they're allying with the Americans now, and then that's what gets everything kind of going crazy.
And
It's
this is
Gotland.
the aftermath of Sweden as a country. They're still fighting, technically. The country has collapsed because the Soviets mostly took it by the end of it.
The Soviets didn't actually take as much of it as you think.
I'm
They
just
got
reading what
stuck.
it says here.
They took Stockholm. They didn't get Malmo.
most of the rest of the country in the Baltic Sea. I'm just highlighting that part.
Do you know the part where no one lives?
Fair enough. But anyway, player
What?
characters, sorry about that. I just wanted to,
So
because it's the new setting.
player characters, there's two ways: either just a quick archetype, or building their backstory through a life path.
Given that you can die from improperly cooked food, you might want to start with archetypes until you're comfortable.
Your stats are rendered into 4 attributes: strength, agility, intelligence, empath. The type of dice you roll depends on your attribute score of A through D. A is a 12, D is 10, C is 8, D is 6.
Hey, doesn't this sound familiar if you've ever played a modern Free League game?
Yeah,
Yes, it does. It also kind of
you'll
reminds me a bit of Shadowrun, where you pick your priorities.
yeah. You break down your
Uh,
hit and your stress capacity, then your skill levels. The same thing, except you can get an F, which is none.
Oh, I do also like that they give you the military ranks for the different nations. I just like that. It's really useful to have, especially if you're playing like a Pole or a Swede and you're not really familiar with the
Eh,
terms.
I do find it funny. In the US, the Brigadier General is in the Soviet General Mayor.
Major General, it's supposed to be equivalent. If that
rank
here,
structures get fucky.
like, because here's the thing, they borrowed from other nations. For
Yeah,
example, in the Soviet Navy, they have entirely new creations because there's different bridges between them.
so other stats you have to deal with: your moral code, which if you follow it, you get bonuses to skill rolls. If you don't, you suffer stress.
Because you're essentially
Your
sacrificing what
yeah,
makes you you.
your big dreams, your starting gear, the vehicle you have, because you can start with a vehicle.
Yes, you can. If you roll really well, you can get a tank. However, I want to note you have a tank, and that's a big problem.
The
No, it's not
benefit,
very.
you have tank. The negative, you have a tank.
Your encumbrance, your ammunition, uh, areas of radiation.
Coolness under fire is a big one too,
Yeah,
Yep.
because that's
you'll start
another
off
rating.
with some radiation.
Yeah,
Everybody
Congratulations,
is a little bit glowy.
you
seriously,
have pre-cancer.
congratulations, your bone marrow is not producing what you need.
As long as you're not like too high, it's okay.
It's
Once you
just a
reach
little
a certain
tumor.
point though, you're fucked. Like you're going to die. You start losing attributes as like radiation poisoning and sickness starts to accumulate. Mind you, I want to note that like this would be long-term radiation poisoning. Most of the people that in a nuclear exchange, the actual like long-term death toll is mostly going to be from, well, cancer
Yeah, it's mostly
and
going to be cancer.
other other illnesses brought on by like radiation poisoning in the long term, not from the immediate aftermath, because most of those people are already dead. If you got acute
Acu-
radiation poisoning, you're
you're
fucking dead
dead.
already.
Yeah,
You're dead already. The people that we're talking about here are the people that are going to die in maybe 5 to 10 years. There's enough damage that they're going to get enough cancer to die, or there's like just enough internal injury that it's going to result in that sort of shit happening. That's different though than, immediately dropping dead because you're around like a Geiger counter.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
essentially,
some of the
it's the difference between eventually your bones beginning to rot because you accidentally absorbed radioactive phosphorus and being a living, shambling corpse. If you're curious, the ghoul effect, that's similar to what happens to you under ARS. You
ha-
literally
if
rot
you've
while you
ever
live.
if you've ever seen Chernobyl, the victims of acute radiation, they look like ghouls. The skin is just melting off.
I usually reference Hisashi Auchi from
Basically
the
put,
Tokaimura incident.
like it's also how much radiation sickness you're going to get, and the more radiation you've accumulated over your lifetime, the more likely it is that radiation sickness is going to kill you. This is how it actually works. There's a safe amount of lifetime exposure to radiation. Uh,
There's a reason
generally
they have
speaking,
stopwatches. Whenever they deal with radiological incidences, they have stopwatches for liquidator crews usually nowadays.
right? Because there's an amount of radiation that you can be exposed to in your lifetime that just, yeah, it's fine.
They'll just go
Like
away eventually.
it's like the equivalent of eating like 5 tons of bananas. It's like, okay, uh,
Well, you took like 50 chest X-rays, so you probably shouldn't be on here on this crew anymore for now.
Yeah.
and mind you, that's also being extremely conservative. Like, you can probably get by fine with more. It's just,
They'll
you
get
know,
into radiation specifically on page 80. We're just highlighting that you're already a little bit torched.
So
you're already a little bit
yeah.
glowy.
Some of the characters though that you can play as
You might get run over in a car. Someone might run you
civilian.
over with their car.
You have civilian. I do like branches, blue collar or white collar.
Yeah, because it's a very different set of skills, especially this time.
The grunt.
Yeah, America falling apart, and this is my time to go do the thing I was told to by the radio
Immediately
waves.
falls off of it. Immediately dies because of lack of vitamins.
Yep.
Need more
The
calcium. Falls off.
yeah. The gunner. You got the grunt, the gunner, the kid, complete with a
Yeah, do you want to
Sex
be the
Pistols
cute kid?
jacket, Vans shoes, and a Walkman.
Yeah, do
Yeah,
you
you
want
want
to
to be
be
a. Hey, remember
the?
Threads?
Yeah,
Hey, remember those
basically.
characters? Do you want to play as those characters?
The most comparable image I have in my head is actually the remake of The Blob, where the creature actually eats one of the children.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm playing the kid because no, you're not immune. In fact, you just got shot by a Polish bandit, and you're going to die in 20 minutes screaming because it was a
By
gut
the
shot.
way, you can have a pipe gun.
Ah,
Oh boy,
yes, all
just like my Fallout 4.
my toilet gun needs have been fulfilled.
I mean,
The
a lot of this is basically like very good archetypes for like, here's a build you can make that works
yep,
just fine.
the mechanic, the medic,
I
the
can't wait. I
officer.
cannot wait to kill a Polish soldier with my
Also,
slamfire
fun
shotgun.
fun fact in this setting, they loosened the restrictions on women in the armed forces.
Well, yeah,
No,
because the draft needed bodies.
that
The
was
amount of
also a thing
casualties that they
already,
were
sort of.
taking.
So we
I
can
mean, yeah,
assume
no, women
assume
were
Democrat neocons got into government.
No,
no.
no.
What happened is this: the amount of casualties initially were high enough that to replace support personnel, they started drafting women.
Which this was already kind of a thing in certain services anyway. This was already a thing.
Like,
Oh, but
Nurses and
there
medical
already
I could
were.
specialists.
imagine the 90s. Oh, Rush Limbaugh would have had a field day with that.
Rush Limbaugh would
uh,
have been
th-
silenced by Milgov as a terrorist.
You're right, that too.
You'd have heard him scream, and then like what would have happened is 5 months later, after the U.S. goes into its civil war, he'd come back losing like most of his weight. He'd look like a famine victim because he was in some black site that was just tortured endlessly for months by the feds.
Well, folks, we have to agree with what Milgov says. Milgov's great.
yeah,
But then I
it,
could
I
see
no,
love
Alex. I could
Milgov as he
see.
says as his eyes bleed and cry.
Yeah, I could see though. Alex Jones being a real menace on pirate radio.
So
didn't Alex Jones get
that's
his
the
start in like 2000 or so?
No, no, we got to start
in
with
the 90s.
Waco.
Yeah, he started
He would
out
have been a
he
he
started
was a
out talking
Texas.
about that. Yeah, because Infowars was like Infowars is really old. It's like Web 1.0 era. I think it was like
Because I could have
articles
sworn
originally.
that he didn't get like his like public
He did
access TV stuff until like the early
Public
2000s. But
access, yes,
maybe,
but
but
online he was still a thing.
we're talking this era though, where there is now a government civil war. The government is actually sending people off to die in foreign wars. We have no idea what's going on. The truth is out there. There's a war on for your mind.
yeah, so a few other examples. The operator, which is effectively, well, yeah, this is special forces teams.
Hoorah. And the spook.
Uh, the spook, which is, well, your intelligence of some kind.
GRU, KGB, FBI,
Well, not
Mossad.
CIA,
FBI. It'd be
SAS.
CIA, DIA. Which, by the way, those two services in this universe fucking hate each other. Because remember, CIA is civilian, DIA is military.
Hmm. MI6, MI5, that sort of thing.
Yes. Uh,
They
what's
give them
the
breakdowns
whatever the
of
German
From
services
Ossel
are?
Ossel. Hey, look at the bright side, Mark. You're dying live on television. Yeah,
they give us
I don't
the
remember the name of the German agency.
yeah, background on the United States, the Soviet Union,
By the way, here's
um,
the life path system,
For
which they go
military,
bit by
yes.
bit, which is pretty nice.
Swedish, Polish, um,
Uh,
and
and
local
then of course
militia.
local militia, which is basically like local militia
Oh,
is
no,
whoever
no!
the
I
fuck
just
is
realized
still
something.
around.
It's just somewhat horrifying. What happened to Yugoslavia in this setting?
Uh, in the original, they did a little bit talking about that. They were in a civil war, I think,
Oh,
in the original,
It
and
would have been
so it
then
happened.
switch.
So it's just genocide, just
Y-
massive amounts
it's
of
Well, no,
just
no.
genocide.
well, I mean,
Think
there's a
about it
lot
like
of just
this. In the middle of the exchanges, guess what this means? The great powers don't care what we'll do. Weapons free, and the gas begins flying.
well, that's the thing. They make it. That's one of the big things about a Cold War gone hot scenario is that I actually think that nukes flying and tactical nuclear strikes were a lot less likely than people believe. What really would have been the initial wave of WMDs would have been chemical weapons strikes, especially long-term nerve agents, to deny areas for use.
Yep. People forget that there's a reason we had not only that, but virological, because there's also bioweaponry as well. So
The bioweaponry is less likely because bioweaponry is just less efficient.
it's less
Uh,
efficient, but you're more likely to have that happen. Sarin, Tabun,
there's
new iterations of nerve
it's more
gas.
likely that you would see nerve agents and long-term gas use. It doesn't even necessarily need to be lethal as long as it's debilitating in its effects.
Just imagine you're going to take a drink of water and then you basically die because it turns out they put tear gas, like it was just tear gas concentrated in that area that just leached into the
Yep,
water.
that can happen. A lot of contamination.
So I'm moving them on to the because this is the rest of the character creation, but
Yep,
It's
you
still
can
the
just
nice
do
to
skills
it
and
have.
randomly
It's
through.
pretty
yeah,
quick.
these skills and specialties of on page 44, because not only do we
Yes,
talk about the core skills, but proprietary dice.
but first we should actually talk
That's
about
fine.
the developing of the character because they do have XP that you can gain. You can gain coolness under fire, and your morale is an important thing because that goes into your coolness under fire.
So yeah, learn from experience. The things you can do during the game are measured in experience points. You won't get a lot of them before you die horribly, but sometimes you keep a character for a while
If you were at the games table, you get a point of experience for the
by
session.
just existing, by wasting space.
By showing up.
Also, I'm glad I'm not the only one who referenced Hisashi Ouchi. Metric Steel also knew what I was talking about. But yeah, gain experience. You can also improve your coolness under fire, which is useful.
You could also find a new PC buddy. You only have one at a time.
Uh, you've got a few other bits with this. Uh, the skills and specialties section is really where like the general notion of this. Successes are just marked with the crosshair. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need custom dice.
You must
No,
roll a 6. Well, to succeed with an action, you must roll 6 or higher on at least one base die used in the roll.
Yes,
so
Roll
essentially,
basically,
6 would be the crosshair.
the
yeah,
6 is the crosshair. The 1 is the explosion.
10 or higher, 2 successes. If
They
you
You
roll
can
also, I
have
mean,
something,
proprietary dice. After all, Star Wars.
yeah,
There's several Star Wars games that do
yeah.
this, like Edge of
yes, no,
Empires,
You can then,
this is like
Age of Rebellion.
if you fail, you can then push your roll. Which, if you do, you get to re-roll, except all those with a 1 result.
Which is very similar to the Year Zero engine.
because it is the Year Zero engine.
Because it's also by Free League.
Because it's by Free League.
And
This is
I am
using
fine with the Free League. I am very fine with Year Zero. It is actually with the Twilight 2000. Here's my. I don't know if it's hot take. I'm going to say slightly reheated in the microwave take. I think it works for this setting, and here's why. You're gonna die like a frog in a blender, right? Like you're just gonna straight up your character is destined to die in like not destined, but you're basically fucked after a couple sessions, right?
It's
Yes.
also that if you take a look at the math for percentage, which they give it to you,
Oh,
you're not there is no guarantee of success ever.
Correct.
they did the same thing with the Alien RPG.
So here's the
Yes,
reason why
because it's
this
the same
works.
engine.
Year Zero's biggest weakness, I think it's a good system, but its biggest weakness is it is not good for long campaign play. There's not enough progression for it. So for a game where you can die from something as simple as forgetting to put iodine in water, that's fine. Like you're gonna have your characters die a lot anyway, right?
Potentially, you're going to have a decent amount of character death in this. There's also the thing is though that if characters do advance, it's still important because of how like the big the jump is between some of these dice numbers. The math I think is that going from 6 to 8 is one of the biggest jumps you can do. The next biggest jump is from 8 to 10.
Also, I love the
Uh,
warning: don't roll dice too often because that will
yeah, you're
fuck
gonna
you.
fuck up. They will fuck you. And they
Though,
basically stress that like
yeah.
don't have them roll for every little fucking thing.
But what do you roll for? Well, you've got 12 core skills: close combat, heavy weapons, stamina, driving, mobility, ranged combat, recon, survival, tech, command, medical aid, and persuasion.
Which, which because this is Year Zero, is divided 3 by 3 based on your skill. So you have
And
your
then you
three
have
stats, and then what you do is you lock these in 3 by 3, and then you roll the with d6s.
your specialties, depending on if you're, say, close combat, brawler, different from martial arts.
Which gives you modifiers, which is very useful.
It
Yeah,
is very
ranged
important.
combat. If you're an archer, it's very different from if you have sidearms, a sniper, or you're a rifleman, or even a reloader.
Like, let's be blunt here. Being able to change it so that fives equal successes on a die roll,
Oh,
that's the difference
That's
between
big.
success and failure.
then we do.
Some like they have a lot of specialties, and this is like the thing about it. It's lower complexity than the earlier editions, and I think that's to the benefit of the game, especially because where it is very crunchy is the combat.
Which is
Oh
right
boy.
next.
Yeah.
And they do
And
say
this is
playing
one of
with
my
maps
favorite
is
things about this.
recommended.
It is not recommended. I would argue it's necessary because otherwise this would get incredibly complicated incredibly fast for any even like the best GMs trying to keep track of about 5 different players and like 7 different NPCs when everyone has assault rifles and basically you're playing laser tag where if you get hit you explode. Yeah.
Okay, so it's the end of
It
the first round. Oh, shit, half of you are dead already? I mean, on the bright side,
yeah,
you
like
killed
if
off
you
like 9/10 of that squad.
right,
Fuck.
Time to crank out the
if you don't get
BattleTech
the
maps.
ambush off, basically if you don't get the ambush off, you're going to fucking die. Like never ever engage first unless you have to.
Now, what you do is you draw initiative cards, or a
Yes.
normal card,
Cards.
removing the
Re.
face and substituting aces for ones. Each player taking part draws initiative. Participants act in order from lowest to highest number. If you initiate combat, though, with an attack the referee deems surprising, you automatically get the number 1 initiative card in the first round. All combatants, including those on your side, draw normally. You get to strike first.
So, I'm not a fan of this sort of thing. I'm not a fan of because the cards feel
I
artificial, in my opinion.
the reason why I think that it sort of works here is because of this next bit, exchanging initiative.
Okay.
Effectively speaking, you can go to another player and swap your cards around with them.
The problem I have with this is the equivalent of changing turn order by just declaring it, which you could have done, which you could do in Dungeons
Well,
and Dragons
the
the
other
same
thing
way.
is you must be able to your characters must be able to speak to each other in person or over the radio.
How's that any? How's that much different?
I don't,
How
I
is
don't know.
this
because
any different
usually
from just rolling in
initi-
initiative order? Which means that
initiative
you need
order
less
like that
material.
doesn't get changed around as much,
Okay.
Because
which
you
is
can
kind of
react. You can
yeah.
react to what's going on and be like, okay, yeah, we missed our shots here. I have the heavy machine gun. Swap, let me shoot first. It's more
I'm sorry.
tactical.
It's just this is kind of a hard sell for me. I know some of it's just due to stubbornness, but it's also just you have dice. Why not just use that instead?
I mean, you could. It would be pretty easy to hijack into that.
That's kind of my
It,
thoughts on that. It's just from my point of view, especially since I have a very strong bias towards just I don't know. I just I don't see the point.
So
I
you,
mean, like again,
so
it's your
you have the ability to do one slow,
Oh, there is
one.
another thing, hidden
Yeah.
initiative, which I
Oh,
actually like this concept.
this
So
this is a very good concept, and I think that this is actually one of the strongest things about like
this is actually the
this
only
is you
thing
don't have to.
to justify the cards.
Right. That's the biggest thing about this to justify the cards is that this allows the GM to just start drawing and handing off. Like uh initiative is basically up to the GM if they really want it to be, which I think is totally fine.
This is the only reason I would say the cards would work here, and it's just because not even no one knows who's going to start.
so but when you do act, you can either do one slow and one fast action or two fast. And we do get a wonderful list of what these actions can be.
They're also saying mark your actions
Yeah.
because the this can get chaotic really fast.
Because there's a
Where
lot of actions you can do. So here's a very,
Yes.
very important list.
where things like throwing while aiming, retreating, preparing a bow, pulling the grenade pin, those are fast actions. Shooting, throwing a weapon, shooting the bow, persuasion, just conducting a melee attack is a slow action.
Well, yeah, compare trying to stab someone to just pulling the trigger.
Also, for those curious, they give you what the action is, what you need to do the action, and the skill needed.
And it's relatively simple. It's a nice, simple table. And I cannot stress enough, I love you, designers, when you make a nice, simple table of available actions and how they
They
interact.
even give you free actions, which goes a little bit over the page, but here's the thing. You print this or just have it available in Meat Space, you put it in like a
It comes
foundry or
it probably comes on your GM square. This also has a very good Foundry module that is released by Free League.
which helps a
Then we
lot.
then we have the terrain. So there are multiple
Oh,
terrain types:
I love that they show what the hexes look like. Oh,
Yes. They've
pavement,
got
field, shrubs, debris, etc., etc. And its impact. So if you are in a forest, -1 to your movement; indoors, -2 to your movement. Penalties to being infiltration, having cover, in which there's not a lot of things that have cover.
also, but the other thing I like is visibility, which is the amount of hexes you can see beyond you. Forest, you can only see 3 hexes, which that's nice. It really just okay. So here's a really quick guide. We're going through the forest, lads. So let's make sure. Oh crap, we didn't notice that the pack of very hungry dogs is after us.
right. One of the things that
Oh no,
there
no,
is
no,
a
hear me out. The swamp. Okay, hear me out for the maximum shitpost. You're going through the swamps and say the aftermath of the nuclear exchange between China and India, and then the crocodiles begin swarming the gharials.
yes. Well, actually those don't
They go for
really
fish,
attack
not
people.
people, but still,
They really can't eat
the
people.
catfish
They're
attack. The goonch catfish begin attacking.
okay, that makes more sense.
The giant catfish begin to slaughter.
Yeah. Now, I will say that there is a little bit of a problem with this default rule set, which is what about urban areas? There's an expansion for that. It has more details on urban combat and how much tighter quarters it is and how to actually run it in
Hey,
this.
did you want to play Fallujah, but in the
Yeah.
post-apocalypse?
No, no. What you
Well,
do quietly. Here's what you do. You trick them into thinking it's a Delta Green game, And then no, I'm sorry, it's not Delta Green. It is instead this is Black Hawk Down. This is Hurt Locker. You're fighting in Fallujah, lads. Let's see how many of you survive.
I mean, that's one of those. This is
Yeah. But then there's
the next bit.
very important things I like here with foot movement. If you have a backpack, you have a -2 to all your mobility rolls.
Because you have 40 pounds of infantry kit on you.
Yeah, drop your fucking backpack and run. You can always come back for it later if you survive.
Or kill the guy who took it if they take it.
Right.
Um,
One of the next
Also,
bits that they
elevation
do.
is important. Moving to a
Elevation,
hex of higher
Yes.
terrain counts as moving 2.
you then have your cover, which
Cover is great
is
because
not just seeking cover. It's if you want full cover, which blocks line of sight, protects your body, or partial, which exposes your head and your arms, but it allows you to fire.
And they have little tokens to represent that, which is nice.
yes, which ones are using. There's also barriers, the same hex, which they basically say if they're close enough that they're in the same hex as you, cover doesn't matter.
Like they give an example here of cover, where the blue fighter has partial cover against the fighter number 1, fighter number 2, no cover at all.
because of how cover works with like direction.
Which they go into details about that. The direction of cover will only be effective from a direction towards one adjacent haste and then extending outward. And basically, it's a cone. It is a 120-degree cone, and this is what it's supposed to demonstrate.
You also have visibility and line of sight. If you are in
And
darkness, barriers.
basically put like certain things will provide you actually effective armor.
Good
Other
cover,
stuff
effective
will
armor,
slow
or
you
it limits
down.
movement.
Yeah. Like if it's barbed wire, you are slowed down. You still have to cross that. You're fucked, buddy.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
And
my
it does
friend.
say this.
The stone wall that you're using for cover, it also means you can't hop over because it's like 8 feet tall in
Yeah.
most
Well,
places.
no, I
Yeah.
like this with the barbed wire. If you fail, critical injury.
Yeah, barbed wire's nasty.
Critical injury number 3 to the legs. I'm just gonna go over to that page 76 and explain it because it's
Who'd have thought that this invention that was
severed tendons.
yes.
Ooh.
Who'd have thought that a thing that was designed to stop cattle from escaping their ranging fields would be an effective anti-human weapon?
Basically put you have like it takes you 2d6 days to recover from that.
And that's if you recover.
Running becomes a slow action, and your mobility is now -2 total until you recover.
I'm pretty sure I just shoot you and leave you for dead.
Yeah,
That has
basically
happened
put
on more
barbed
than one
wire.
Twilight game.
I'm pretty sure it has Twilight, but basically put uh
So then,
it's important to like know what you're doing and don't crawl across barbed wire.
so then you have
What's that? Crawl into barbed wire, get
eh,
stuck, scream in agony, and then get my head blown off? You got it, boss.
you
Visibility,
then have
which
issues of visibility.
yes, night vision in this era is a hack. It is the greatest thing you can have as an advantage, like flat out.
It's not perfect. There's a distance rating for it, but it doesn't matter. It's still really good.
You fire flares.
And thermals are even more busted.
Thermals are basically go fuck yourself. I see you.
I'm just now okay. Hear me out for my mental image. So you're playing a bunch of partisans in Europe. Do you want to know a really funny way to have rocks fall and everyone die?
Just you run into a group of people with night vision.
No. All of a sudden, you hear a very loud burst, and you immediately begin disintegrating because a gunship with thermal sighting and a 120 millimeter autocannon just decided to end your day.
A 20 millimeter autocannon. Yeah, I mean that's not exactly likely. They go into this that like there's not enough fuel for that.
Yeah.
Basically, all aircraft are grounded because fuel supplies are fucking nothing.
You could just bullshit it. It's fine. You're ending the campaign anyway.
But then here you have, of course, the benefits of an ambush,
which is
if
congratulations.
So if you succeed, you not only get the number one initiative card, an ambush in the same hex as the target gets a +3 modifier. and
and they
target
can't
cannot
block an
block.
attack.
He's dead.
Basically, combat close combat ambushes are very, very deadly, and group ambushes are extremely deadly. And you need to wait, and you get like a +3 depending on how well you prepare for an ambush. A well prepared ambush can virtually, like, you think that this, as long as they don't have like heavy armor or anything like that, if you get the ambush off, you're probably going to win.
No, even if they have armor, like let's say you're lucky and one of your group still has at least one javelin missile. You just told that T-72 to go fuck itself.
Then there's also social combat.
Basically, put this is to represent social arguments and like
Like
trying to
It's
negotiate.
post-apocalypse standard
like the
stuff.
the example they do give here is pleading for your life, and not that it dissuades the person, but they just hesitate and lower their rifle.
Right. Like some of this is also like interrogation. Some of this is like trying to say like, please just fuck off. Like we don't want to fight. We don't want to fight. You don't want to fight. Let's fucking not. Which fair enough.
I like here,
On
of
page
course, with
60, the bottom of page 61, he's holding his rifle sideways. What did they mean by this?
That's actually proper bayonet.
Oh no, it is
yeah,
proper bayonets. I'm just fucking around.
Because the hands behind the
Yeah, I can tell. Like
grip.
the way he's holding it, it's for bayoneting use. I'm just fucking around in
yeah.
this. That
With range
the
combat, if you do
expression on
not
their face
so
is
if
fantastic.
you do not aim when you shoot, if it's a pistol, a carbine, or an SMG, -1. All others, -2.
Yes. Basically put, spray and pray is wasting ammunition. And I want to note this, ammunition is effectively not only currency, but well, your ammunition. Good luck finding more.
Which is now reminding me of Metro, which, well, the original Metro game, the way the enemies were bullet sponges meant that you had to basically burn through your currency.
Well, no, you could use the dum-dum rounds.
No, the problem is you burn through your dum-dum rounds like really quickly.
I don't
You
know, I
don't
survived
understand.
with them.
The original game, the enemies were very bulky.
Well, because the original game, the if you played it on a lower difficulty, everything got the health modifier because of a bad coding error.
Ooh.
Yeah,
So that meant that at lower difficulty, the
it
game
was
actually got
harder.
harder.
So if you played it on normal, you were fucked sometimes if you were just really bad at pacing yourself.
So you can even do friendly fire. You can do
Yeah, here's the thing.
Overwatch.
Friendly fire is a thing. You could accidentally kill like half of your own teammates.
Called shots are also important. There's ways to get bonuses on called shots, certain sites and stuff like that. So yeah, uh, one of the things is like a telescopic sight with slow aim gives you a +2, which means that you can just make a called shot with no modifier.
Actually, you know, this kind of gives me a fun idea. Twilight 2000, but in the style of Saving Private Ryan, where you're playing members of the company just trying to get to that kid.
Well, yeah, like that's one of the ways that this game can
No, I
definitely
just
work out.
I just love that mental image though, because you know,
Right. There's also a couple of different things that they talk about. This is one of the parts of the system that I'm not super happy with, which is the ammo dice.
okay, let's see what the ammo dice are.
Basically, depending on your weapon, you get ammo dice. Ammo dice are it's the same thing. Their ammo dice is a 6 or a 1 and it has various effects. If you the more ammo that you spend on your well, your ammo dice, you can add as many dice as you like from 0 up to the rate of fire, as long as you have enough ammunition in your magazine for that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at this,
Ammo dice makes it more likely uh, that you do damage, basically. Like,
but there's a
if
chance
you're
of jamming.
there's a chance of jamming. Basically, put, if you push it, you can damage your weapon. Basically, to represent, well, it's a fucking piece of shit, and maintenance isn't very good right now.
Now the good thing is bows and thrown weapons don't give you ammo dice.
They've
See if you
never
just
had to
retrieve
tend.
them.
They've never had to tend to a composite bow.
Uh, well, I mean, it can still happen with an error, but they're talking like ammo dice is different than that.
I know, I get it. I'm like, I kind of get it, but I also feel like it overly rewards firearms a bit.
Well,
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
because firearms, like, do you know how much more effective a
I
firearm is
know.
than a fucking
There's just
bow?
something about this that's kind of like throwing me off, and I don't know what it is.
It's probably because it means that, like, if you're really, really unlucky, you can jam your heavy machine gun and waste all the ammunition for it.
That would be why. That would be why, because so
Which is
here's
why
a
you
fun story. Here's a fun story. One of the reasons that I kind of have a love-hate relationship with games like Age of Rebellion, Edge of Empire, and the Jedi one that Fantasy Flight Games did was they had two different sets of six-sided dice. They had the success dice, and then they had the benefits and advantage and disadvantage dice, right? So the way that system would work is you would have to roll more successes than failures on the six-sided success and failure dice to have an action go. And then you would have advantage and disadvantages, which would provide positive and negative effects. For the life of me, I could not. I would roll like five goddamn dice, have like two successes, two failures, and one neutral. Cancels out the attack, but I'd get like four advantages. So you're telling me my blaster rifle just, I don't know what the hell it did, but it made shooting the guy easier. And then next round, I'm just gonna miss the guy again and get even more advantages. You get what I mean? Where it's like kind of nonsense. Like I can understand a machine gun jamming, but you really gonna tell me it's gonna jam on the second fucking round repeatedly?
That can happen. If you haven't been cleaning your weapon well enough, that can definitely happen.
No, it can happen,
only
but
drop once.
you would think that if you were like say a military guy and kind of desperate, you would at least tend to that. It's the thing that saves you from life and death.
I mean, a lot of this shit is like fucking beat to shit.
I don't know. I don't know. There's just something about this that's kind of twinging something I don't like,
Now, that being said, the main thing is that you can spend a lot of ammunition and get minimal effect out of it. Is
which
probably
is
what
also
rubs you the
funnier.
wrong way, which is funny, but it's also accurate. Basically, put high rate of fire weapons are really, really good at suppression.
Nah, I
Uh,
get it, but there's the part of me that I think if I saw that happen to me, I think I'd just start screaming. I think I'd just be like, "Fuck this game," and then just stop
fuck
and
this
just leave
game.
for a little
Fuck
bit.
this. God damn it.
I'd
Like
have to
the
walk off a little bit, I think.
I mean, I think the other point is to discourage perhaps heavy weapons fire.
more accurately, it's to discourage you pushing results with heavy weapons.
And you know, in fairness, you can get advantages if you're a machine gun specialist, so I can understand. They put thought into this mechanically. I know they did. It's just I don't
It
know.
just doesn't feel good to you.
It doesn't bother me like the initiative card thing. It's just there's something with it.
Well, next up
Also,
though is explosions.
yes, they have an entire thing about how explosions and
So yeah, you
suppression work.
see this area? Welcome to the dead zone.
Also how detonations work for various explosives, landmines, including off-route directional mines, which I'm glad they mentioned those because those were a fun part of Cold War arsenals.
Ah,
Uh,
yes, the Claymore mines.
no, anti-tank directional mines. Those things are fucking nasty. So
Ooh,
basically, put
tripwire.
either tripwire or remote activation. Uh,
Which means which means somebody knows you're there.
well, it's either that or they're off route, so they're from the side, which makes them incredibly fucking lethal to vehicles. Because most of the armor on a vehicle is going to be towards the front. So if you go through the side, well, yeah.
Through the side near the bottom, especially.
Then you have your IEDs,
Yep,
hand grenades.
IEDs, how you can build them.
I
Oh
like
yeah,
with
here's the anti-tank mine explosion. And the thing I really like is they give you what the blast power is in each area. So
Yes,
this is a hand
so
grenade or typical blast power type A. This is directional mines, which they don't have an
behave
A,
differently.
but look at that.
Well, that's more of a directional mind of blast power B, because, for example, a hand grenade is like blast power C. So it starts out at
Okay,
C and then it goes to D around it. So
a little bit.
it only affects 7 hexes, which is the center hex, then every hex around it.
Okay. So
B
the
would go and affect
explosion grade is
yes, and
okay.
then the damage that goes down the further away you are from it. So, for example, if it is a hand grenade, if it is in the same hex as you, that does 2d8 dice to hit you, and 2 damage with a crit on a 3. But you get a little bit of armor for it,
Also, I
basically
just
to represent
look
like
at that
shrapnel getting
directional
caught.
mine damage. Look
But
also
yes, the directional mine damage though goes way further out on the radius, which means that a very powerful directional blast
like this one
is
because see what
incredibly
it's
lethal.
doing to this camp. See the tent
Yeah,
set up, the
Yeah.
people sleeping.
Oh, yeah,
that's a
they're gone.
claymore right there. They're fucking dead. So you can also shape charges, which gives you a directional direct damage and things like that. Uh,
Then you've got your heavy weapons.
Heavy weapons, which behave a bit differently uh, than others because of deviation, targeting, reloading. They
But you've
rarely
got
ever use ammunition
Oh,
dice.
here's also hit
but
locations. If you get
you've
6,
got
you get the head.
yeah, you've got your wonderful types of ammo. High explosive anti-tank, armor piercing, white phosphorus, chemical
Chemical
rounds, and
and illumination.
illumination round.
Fantastic. What page are you on? Just where is it?
That was 71.
I'm a
71.
little bit ahead.
As I said, a lot
Apologies.
of this is mechanics, which is why I said this can go pretty fast because it's not.
Yeah, that's why I'm not too Oh yeah, it's in types of ammo. I didn't realize it was in the
Yeah,
sidebar.
there's ATGMs, which have a different function
Yes,
than
they do.
standard
Which by that meaning
weapons.
anti-tank guided missiles.
Yes, tows, that's faggots, that sort of thing. And yes, a faggot is an actual anti-tank missile. It's a Russian
Wait,
one.
really?
Yes,
Is it? I think it's spelled with 1G, isn't it?
it's spelled with 1G because it's a reference to a musical instrument because of what it looks like.
Yeah. It's
It's
just
like,
it's just
first I'm
pronounced
like,
that.
what?
I think it's French, so it should be like fagot or something. But we're just gonna call it what it is—a bundle of sticks.
Let me put it like this: it looks like faggot. I'm gonna call it faggot.
You need. We
Uh,
will put a picture of what it looks like in the Discord so that you can also admire the bundle of sticks.
no, you can show it on stream. It's
Well, be careful.
there's a just the Wikipedia page for it. Give me a second.
Oh, well, that's going on. So some other things, hit locations. If you get hit by a ranged attack in close combat or by explosion, you roll a special D6 white hit location die. And if you get a 6, you're hitting the head, and have fun with that. That's not good. You're kind of fucked,
And then you can get critical injuries.
which we will show off in a tick. I do want to show what the cigarette thing looks like. Let us show you the cigarette. The happy
Oh,
cigarette that
it's
destroys
like an
everything.
oboe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a musical instrument. Do you wish for it to sing the song of its people?
YMCA.
basically put it's Sacklose rather than Mclose. It's an improvement on the Maluka. It's a
I
standard
I see it
ATGM.
now.
Like a lot of these were produced.
So let's show you the bundle of sticks cigarette or a
Well,
very
we call it
happy individual.
Bassoon.
apparently in NATO we call it a spigot.
Yep. ATGM. Basically, if it's a surf missile, often it will have like an S reporting name. So
It
we
definitely
call it a
looks like
spigot,
something you would
stagger.
smoke. It definitely looks like something you'd smoke. I can say that much at least.
And it's
But
still in
yeah,
use today.
well, yeah, because it's an effective weapons platform. Like it is a very simple ATGM.
Okay.
It's not
Yeah,
extremely high penetration these days, but it's pretty effective against anything that isn't a main battle tank from the front.
as we like here from Metric Seal, I call my friends Russian ordnance every day.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's
Exactly.
a very reliable name.
So,
Uh,
when we go for our injuries here, we can go from simply getting your ear slashed, a concussion, a nose crushed, Shattered teeth, cracked skull, a
Gouged
gouged
eye, a
eye,
brain hemorrhage, shattering your neck, crushing your windpipe, or just blowing your brains out. Torso hit, there is a good chance that you just instantly die. Because
cracked
remember,
pelvis,
critical wounds stack up.
yeah, a cracked spine,
Yep.
internal
Uh,
bleeding, heart impaled.
if the damage you inflict is equal or higher than the crit threshold of the weapon, after mitigation by armor and cover, you inflict critical damage. So this means that if an attack exceeds the weapon's crit threshold by 2 steps, it's severe, meaning you roll 2d10s and use the higher result. And then
Yeah,
the more you go over that crit threshold, the more dice you roll for the chance of like a critical. So this means that, effectively speaking, uh, yeah,
let's see, arms, dislocated shoulder, crushed fingers, arterial bleeding, severed arm.
and by the way, that lethal means that if that is not treated within the time limit, you die.
Yep.
Some of this being a shift, a stretch, or internal bleeding, round.
Yeah,
And then there's mental,
which
which
is
going from
effectively
nervous.
speaking that if you break under fire, or if you basically you suffer a stress incapacitation, you take mental damage.
You could end up just getting catatonic.
You could go catatonic at a really bad time.
Being sleep
Now,
deprived, dehydrated, hyperthermic. There's other things: drowning, fire, the effects of chemical warfare.
chemical and nuclear warfare, they, again, as I've said, they cover basically everything. But it's a very simple system because it's not like going into like super detail on anything. It's like, here's your modifier.
The
Like,
Year Zero battle system. Simply brilliant because it's brilliantly simple.
like
And it kind of is. It's
I
like,
don't
all
like
right,
here's like I
here you
don't need
go.
to know the specific effects of a one type of chemical nerve agent.
Because really, in
Why do we
reality,
need
if
to
you get
know
hit
the
by
effects of
any of them,
VX nerve
you're going to
gas?
die.
Yeah, why do we need to know VX nerve gas? You're just fucked.
Right.
But then we get to the radiation. So we counted in
Radiation sickness,
rads.
the more rads you have, the worse and worse it gets until you die.
I think don't they usually use Sieverts or Greys instead?
They use
There's
rads as a level because it's easy to remember and it's easy to do. And remember, it stacks. You start out with this. Any further exposure to radiation then can inflict more. So,
Interesting, because remember this came out before Fallout.
well, no, this version didn't.
Did they have radiation mechanics in first edition that
Yes,
included
they had
where
radiation
they called
mechanics in the
rads
first
there too?
edition. I do
probably
not remember off the top of my
probably
head.
they called it rads and wasteland as well.
True, because it is also inspired by weight. I'm just highlighting that. Yeah,
Oh, and then
Rads
if
is
you roll a
radiation.
1, and when you lose rads, it becomes permanent.
Right. Because remember, you can just sort of there's ways to get rid of radiation. Decontamination, when you leave a hot spot, it just leaves your body over time because remember, oh,
I would
background
go,
radiation is normal.
iodine. If you have iodine tablets beforehand.
iodine
Right. Like
tablets
there's
would also
ways
work.
to reduce it. Yeah. And I think that that's another nice thing is that this is kind of flexible a little bit. You can modify it if you need to very quickly.
But then we go to diseases.
Yeah. No, also
Diseases,
notice that
food
radiation
poisoning.
sickness. If you just take one, you're not going to really be affected. It's just kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, once you start to hit about 5 or 6 though is when it starts to get really dangerous.
Which leads to what we're going to talk about, which is radiation sickness, which is always fun.
And radiation sickness, it's worse the more permanent rads you have, which is accurate enough.
Didn't they have it
It's
here
not
on
perfect,
page
but it's good
80?
enough. Page 80,
Yeah, they just.
81.
Oh, it's just the
I've
virulence
already
of it.
mentioned also that Fallout was more inspired, but it was like legitimately the system that they were originally going to. I mentioned that a while back, but yeah, it was going
And
to
then
use
vehicle
nerves, but they didn't
combat
have the
Oh,
rules.
rights.
that's just talking about the virulence of it.
Yes. And then they have the
Yes.
vehicle combat rules, which I'm not going to go into because I don't want to be here the entire night. They go really detailed with this.
First
If you have
facing, very
played
important.
earlier, if you have played earlier editions of Warhammer, I'm looking at this. It looks remarkably similar.
Well,
You
yeah,
have your front,
facing's
sides,
important.
your rear. Facing's
Reliability is
important.
important.
External passengers, how do they get hit? What about external passengers? Components, component damage, launchers, armor. How does reliability work with a vehicle? What's the
Also,
facing?
here's what it looks like on a hex map in terms of quadrants.
Don't forget night vision too. Also, critical effects on vehicles. They
Do,
have
do they
all of
have any
that.
equipment that defeat? Because there is defeat armor defeat anti method anti defeat measures as well.
They also give rules for using
Component
horses.
damage, by the way. If you get hit, here's some of the things that could happen there.
Hey, Tech, do you ever want to play Umusume, but in a post-apocalyptic setting?
Welcome to Hanses. Yes, horses are a very good alternative to vehicles.
Hey, wouldn't Goldship
Uh,
be around this time?
no, we're doing Steel Ball Run, except that that this is across Europe and not across America. Private Joseph Joestar has to get back home.
Don't stop till finish.
So how do
They
we
have to
how
go.
do we
No, they
deal
have
with?
to get. They have to go across Russia, and they have to collect the Holy Corpse, aka Lenin.
I'm just now envisioning that they're surrounded by former conscriptiviki, like former conscriptiviki that have turned into like a crazed biker gang. We're surrounded, Lieutenant Joestar. What should we do? There's a traditional method whenever we're surrounded, whenever we're trapped like this. Begins running away. Begins running away.
Soviet
JoJo's
Premier Valentine.
JoJo's Bizarre Twilight 2000.
JoJo's shining nuclear adventure, post-nuclear adventure. Uranium is uranium is fissile.
Yep, scavenging parts, ramming, all this. Boats have a more detailed rules later because rivers are very important.
Yeah, a lot of rivers are quite important. Not just the Rhine,
They
but
talk
like
about bartering.
there's the since you're in Poland, one of the important rivers that you're going to deal with includes stuff like
Vistula.
the Eld, Vistula. There's a lot of ones.
The Volga? Oh no, that's in Russia.
You could hypothetically make it to the Volga.
But then we do get to
The
weapons,
Danube.
vehicles,
Danube is
and
also very
gear.
important. Look at all the gear. The
Yes,
way it works is
vehicles and
very
gear.
simple.
They have everything you need.
And what do we mean by everything you need? Well, let's look at
Just
these
take a look.
weapons.
They have pictures. They have
Bombs,
lots of
rope,
pictures.
everything
Holy
and more.
Bottles.
shit.
Clubs,
They give you
bayonets.
all of the details that you could need for any of this. Also, unfortunately, the faggot isn't in the game, but they do have the conkers, which is close enough.
We do have our civilian weapons. Service revolvers, police pistols,
I like how you could
combat
just
pistols.
start showing up with your lever action rifle.
Yeah, if you've got it, you can use it. Like it's a
Oh,
30-30.
all right.
Oh, look, the pipe gun. There's the pipe gun.
Dead or
Yeah,
red,
the
you're
pipe
coming
gun
with
is just a
me.
shotgun.
Starts pumping his sharp rifle.
Double
And they're like, if
barreled.
you can jury rig it, it's awful though. They if you take a look at
Reload rate's dog shit. Its rate of fire is
its
pretty bad.
range is awful. It has one shot total, and it's like, all right,
Armor shrugs it off
a
better.
double-barreled shotgun is arguably immensely better because, well, reloads faster for one thing,
And it
and you
looks
can
like it's
fire
only
it.
Oh,
it's only
that's nothing.
in 12 gauge.
That's nothing. Here's the thing. Your
Yes,
combat
because 12
pistol.
gauge is the most common.
No, your combat pistol. It only has one range shorter. It weighs less. Has the same penetration. Fires more often and crits on better. It crits more.
We also
Yeah.
have our U.S. military weapons. which
However, there are some exceptions here.
Oh,
So U.S. military weapons.
that pipe gun shotgun looks fantastic.
Well, yeah, that's how you rig one of those things. If you take a look at it, literally the trigger mechanism is just to fucking like depress that the hammer in the back there into the back of the shotgun shell.
I love the look. Also the zip gun. I love my toilet guns. If you can't tell.
Yeah, they're fun. They have the M16. They have two versions of it, which is the A1 and the A2. One is fully automatic. One is not.
Yeah, the M40A3, M21,
Which is the carbine version.
The M79.
No, the M40 is different. The M40 is a rifle. It's
I was
basically
looking at
just a
the
Remington.
M4, not the
Also, look what it's
M4D.
chambered in.
Yeah, it's chambered in 7.62 x 51 NATO.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about the
Third,
M40. I was
if
talking about the M4
the M4 is
carbine.
effectively the carbine
Yeah,
version of this. It was not really issued and commonly to frontline units at this point. Uh, it really only picks up after, like, by 2003. There's enough M4s in service that it's pretty much the default service rifle. Because the M16 is kept by the Marines, but the Army decides to swap for the shorter carbine because it's shorter, it's easier to carry in and out
and
of a
it's lighter.
vehicle, and it's lighter.
Big rifle. The M82A1, aka go fuck yourself and die.
Yep. Uh, Basically, it's intended for, well, shooting light vehicles.
So I heard. So I heard. Or some guy you really hate. Like if you really hate one guy, you could just blast him with a 50 caliber.
Yes. There's the M79, which standard uh bloop tube. The
Another boom tube
203,
attachment.
which is again under barrel grenade launcher.
Then
It,
we get into the heavy
and
weapons.
however, they mentioned that it makes it harder to shoot with a rifle if you have it attached. So
Because it's kind of heavy. It's a 40
it's
millimeter
heavy
ring.
and it's awkward.
It's
Uh,
useful, but yeah, it's a pain.
Mark 19, which is talking about ammo dice because
Oh,
it's a fucking
actually, since
automatic
we
grenade
talked about
launcher.
the M203, this actually reminds me. Like this is not, grenade underslung grenade launcher attachments have been like a thing since like the 1920s, and there's some really goofy looking examples from that era. Holy
There's
shit!
a pretty goofy one that was Polish design. You'll get to see that in a little bit.
Oh,
Uh,
fantastic!
they they have, of course, the Javelin, the Law, AT4, and the Dragon. I love the Dragon. The Dragon
Unleash
is
the
one of the
dragon.
silliest ATGMs ever built. Uh, Go look up a video of it firing. It's wonderful.
Yeah,
But then we get the Soviet weapons. The Pistolet Makarova, the
Makarov
Pistolet
pistol.
Samazrazani. I don't know. I don't know
Pistolet
Russian.
Severodazny Balogny. Uh, it was another attempt to replace it. The AKM, which, if you're curious, was an attempt to lighten the AK-70. It was finalized in lighter version of the AK. It was a modernization attempt. 74, which was designed to replace the 47 as a lighter version.
The
PP-19, which is a
PP-19.
submachine gun.
The
The G-
74 is not really a lighter version. The 74
Oh,
is
I
more
remember.
that they looked at.
I remember all these weapons from
modernization
Black
slash
Ops.
improvement. Yeah,
No, what they did is they looked at the 5.56 and they realized that you can carry a lot more 5.56 ammunition by
it's
weight
lighter
than you
too.
can, like, it's lighter. And the effect is actually the smaller, faster round is more accurate up to range. So they basically swapped over because they're like, well, the Americans had an idea, and the reason why they went with 54 545 x 39 is so that they could just keep reusing the chambering effectively. The magazines are slightly different, but like most of the machinery was the same, so cheaper.
So
uh
we also have here with Soviet
Bison,
weaponry. We've
yeah,
got
Bison
the
isn't really a common thing you would see. GP25, that's pretty standard.
yeah.
Hmm.
We've got the
A
Dragonov,
Yep, SVD,
PKM,
Yep.
PKM. RPK is
RPK.
great. RPK is just a heavier barreled AK-47,
It's pretty
effectively.
fun. Yeah.
They've got
DSK
R-
38 is also pretty fun too.
Yep, Dushka. They have the NSV, which is the replacement for the Dushka. RPG-7, RPG-16. 16 isn't really that thing. They don't have. What is the one that they're missing?
They got the
The
Conquerors. There he is.
Yes, the one that they're missing is the disposable tube one, RPG-18, I think.
Yeah, they don't have the 18.
hmm.
Yes. No, the RPG-18 is a different weapon entirely. Fuck.
I know what you're
What
talking
the
about.
fuck
They
am I
don't
thinking
have it
of?
though.
Then we have the
It's a good
Swedish
No, it
collection
is
though.
weaponry,
what I was thinking of. It is what I was thinking of. Was the RPG-18? It's the disposable tube.
which most of
Uh,
these weapons, the Swedish ones I've been reading, are pretty much under license from other
Yeah,
countries.
the AK-4, for example,
yes.
is based on the Heckler and Koch G battle rifle that was made.
The AK-4, the AK-5. Basically, the thing with the Swedish is that while they had a firearms industry, the they weren't exactly tooled out for creating a bunch of automatic weapons that needed to be compatible with various ammunition outside the country. So, like a lot of countries, Sweden buys foreign for a lot of weaponry and then has some internal designs that they would use on their own. Uh, the big one was that they decided to go with the G3 from Germany, just because it was, well, license.
It was available, able to be used, and the G line by Heckler and Koch was pretty good. So
It
why
was a
not
pretty
use it?
solid rifle. Like the other option was the FN FAL, but the Belgians I think were asking for more for licensing.
It was
So
too expensive for what they wanted. They went with the G3. Speaking of which, I don't know if they'll show it, but there were some very interesting heckle. Actually, this reminds me that one of the weirder weapons that you can
they'd
find,
have the G11 in this era. They don't have that in this book, but that would be a weapon in service theoretically in this
and the
timeline.
reason I mentioned that is because Fallout gave you that as one of your assault rifle options.
Fallout 2, yes. Now, going into the rest of the Swedish equipment, a
The
lot of it
Carl
is
Gustav
as
M45. Look at that machine gun. Look at its feel.
the 45, the Swedish Room Broom is sort of the nickname that it got. It was actually in service in Vietnam with the American Navy SEALs and stuff like that. I'm not even kidding on that one.
Well, yeah, because it's
Uh,
foldable. It basically has the value because machine pistols usually have a value in that you can fold out of stock and kind of hold it that way.
it's a room broom. You'd
Yeah,
use it in incredibly close quarters because it was
it's
just
really useful for that.
right.
Then there's the rest of the the rest of the Polish military, which is
A
mostly
lot of
just
it's
Soviet
Soviet
weaponry.
copies.
Yes,
Like most Eastern Bloc countries. Let me put it like this: the Soviets offered nearly free copy license like agreements of their designs to their puppet states. There were only a couple that did not essentially just make a clone. The countries that didn't are, well, mostly the Czechs. I think there's some stuff
Ch-
that the Polish did.
the
As I said
Czechs
before,
did
there
not
was
because they still a lot of their factories were taken by the Soviets in the aftermath. They essentially just revived. I think it was like Puchka or something
no
like
the
that.
Czechs. The Czechs already had a bunch of design programs from before the war. They
So
dusted
they just
off
yeah.
But then
and were able
we
to
have
manufacture on their own, which
we
is
have
why we got
other
the the VZ58, which is
Yeah.
basically the most AK looking gun that is functionally nothing like an AK.
but then we
Uh,
have our other military weapons, the FNFAL,
yes, the
the
FOUL,
f-
Oh,
because if you're
hey,
talking
look,
about
here's the
Norway,
RPG 7V.
yes,
the FAMAS, the Scorpion,
Scorpion, Czechoslovakian PDW, very common in the Eastern Bloc
the
as
Israeli
basically a
Uzi,
PDW weapon. Uzis also relatively common in Europe at this time. There were several countries that were using it as an issue to tankers and to vehicle crews and things like that.
the
PSG-1, which is well, German semi-automatic sniper rifle
The
styling.
Armbrust,
It's
the
which is
Armburst,
one of their own native designs.
a
pa-
disposable anti-tank launcher, and the Panzerfaust 3. I should say this: the Panzerfaust 3 is one of those, like, holy shit, the amount of penetration they got out of that thing is insane.
Which you can see in its damage and armor
eight,
effect.
yeah. And then we have our
To give you a
grenades.
perspective on that, take a look over at the RPG-7. It's a much larger warhead. It's 110 millimeter.
Yep,
RPG-7
still
though,
does less
heavier
damage than
weight.
what the Panzer Faust 3 does.
But then we get our grenades, such as white phosphorus,
Anti-tank, improvised, and then all of the
fragmentation,
cannons that you could have, along with mortar statistics. Then the vehicles.
Hotweiser statistics, heat, mines, and then yes,
Here's the
your
Like
ammunition
vehicle,
they,
caliber type. Have fun.
your Hans, your wagon, your bicycle, your motorcycle, your 2WD
Oh, no,
WD
I
cars,
love this. Look, you got the 4x4 fucking tactical Toyota again. Toyota strikes
yes,
again.
the
yes,
bus, the pickup
buses,
truck.
pickup trucks, everything.
Humvees.
Like, what do you? If it has wheels and it moves, you probably can fucking run it in this game.
Ah, yes,
Then
the
our
Bradley, which is a vehicle that genuinely got a lot of shit when it was being made.
Yes,
It
we've got
it turns
here
out to be an incredibly good
the
vehicle,
Humvee,
but
the
like,
Jeep, the APC, the Warhammer APC, the
How did
Bradley,
these metal boxes escape into my
the
game of
Abrams,
Twilight?
as well as other, such as the civilian cargo utility cargo vehicle,
Oh, I
the
love that
HEMET.
they bring the UAZs.
yes,
Hey!
they have a lot of like other vehicles they talk about. Then they've got statistics for all of that.
BTRs, T-Series
Look at that
tanks.
shitty Soviet Jeep knockoff.
Yeah,
The UAZ? Yeah.
That just
there's a few other like ones that they mentioned here. PT
Well,
seventy
if
sixes,
you're
which is
wondering, it was
fucking
based on the
nuts.
Willys. They got a bunch of Willys Jeeps, and UAZ essentially just kind of advanced it from there.
oh hey look, we got the T. I'm surprised, considering what
A
happened
wild
in our
T-34
in
appears.
They
yeah
don't
yeah,
have.
considering what happened in our world with the 3-day special military operation. Yeah, the T-34 should have been mobilized.
No, the
There wasn't a
T-34s by
lot of
this
them
point
anymore.
were already decommissioned.
They were
Like
decommissioned,
when
destroyed
I'm
for the most part. Yeah.
what what would have actually been deployed is like Su-70s, like Su-85s, Su-100s, and Su-122s, which they kept in stockpile because those were basically direct gun platforms. There were a few other things. You would have seen IS-3s before you would have seen
Yeah, they
T-34s
would have
for one
cracked
thing.
open the Joseph Stalin tanks again. By the way, from
Hell, you
Coyote,
saw some of those
Oh my,
be deployed in the Donetsk War back
you
in
did?
2014.
oh my God! Look at those
Before
Swedish
we
military
do,
vehicles.
Coyote. Oh, hey, the PM-84. Isn't that the one that a lot of guys got holes in their legs from trying to rack the slide? Yes.
Yes, yes. The let me put it like this: some of the designs that came out of like the the Eastern Bloc, some of them are absolutely fucking brilliant. On the other hand, never ever let a Polish man design a gun.
Yes, the Poles had some of the most interesting quality control mechanisms of the Warsaw Pact.
More like the Polish did seem to be unable to understand things like ergonomics
Oh no, they
and
understood.
design
They just thought
principles,
that that was frivolous. You don't
and
need to know
safety
how to make
controls.
gun.
Like, all right, let's take a like some of the later Polish projects were better, but a lot of that was effectively building off of what had already
Well, I
existed
mean,
from the Soviet
a
builds.
lot of the most skilled guys were either killed or fled west after the war.
Right.
But no,
And any
I need to look at the Swedish military vehicle. That TGB-11.
yes,
I'm pretty sure that's a transformer.
It
I'm
was.
pretty
probably
sure
is.
that's just Ironhide.
It's a Volvo basically. It's just it's a six-wheeled version of their standard Volvo like four-door.
I love the BV206, by the way. The Bandwagen is fantastic.
Very rare actually, but they did have these in service for Arctic environments.
That's where you'd mostly find them. Also, the
Uh
STRF-90, a really nice little
yep,
IFV.
Stevie 90, then of course the Stridswagen 103. There is actually the 121, which is the German Leopard tank, which is
They do
in
have
the service
stats.
at this point.
They do have
Yes,
they do have
which
stats
they
for
did give
the
stats for.
Leopard.
Oh, also,
And
Coyote's asking, is the loaf in the game?
The Buchanka, yes, effectively.
It's not named that,
I do have
but
to
you
say,
could stat it.
bit of a slander against Poland that we don't get to see their vehicles.
They
Although then again,
mostly
most
are.
of it is
Because
yeah,
the Polish vehicles were with like only I
they're just
think
the
the
Soviet
exception of
vehicles.
an artillery system, all entirely Soviet copies.
Well, technically, I think they had their own vehicles, but that was about it. Like their own cars, like their staff cars, and like their own version of a Jeep.
Now,
Like
I have
the
to ask,
Buchanka is the
when they
66.
say military vehicles here, and I do see Challenger 1,
Well, before then, the only
that
thing
is
that
not
the
the
Polish
actual
have,
like NASA aircraft, is
no,
it?
it's the
No,
Challenger
that's
1 tank.
the Challenger one is the British main battle tank. There's some expansions like fan works that really go and define these vehicles better, but like most of the other vehicles are just like, oh,
Also, if you're curious, the
here
Challenger 2 was designed specifically with limitations. The Challenger, it's basically an up to Challenger 1, from what I recall.
no, the Challenger 1 and the Challenger 2 are basically two very different vehicles because
I
the
might be
original
confusing it
Challenger
with something
design,
else. Yeah.
because the original Challenger design and the Challenger 2 are similar-ish, but like their base platform is very different.
Yeah.
Now
The
here's some other
I
stuff
mean,
to. I'm looking here though. Some other stuff that they break down here. Communications gear,
yep, because radios are
Aw,
incredibly important.
but
I
it's
love that they show art of the helmets. I think
Yep,
that's
yeah,
they've
very
got the helmets,
useful.
but it's going to look like communications gear with the radios and how
but
they
it's
work,
not
what
just
their bandwidth
like
is, all that.
a regular game would just say radio. They have now specific radios that are
And they give
designed
you an idea of the range of what these
designed for a
radios would
specific
actually be capable of,
usage.
because because it's important to know. Observation gear, protection gear, medical supplies, tools, electricity, fuel, explosives, food, all of that. They also talk about home base and encounters and things like that, facilities, what you need for that, construction equipment, and then travel. And travel, I think, is the last section of the book, but it also includes a nice giant table of things you can salvage.
Oh yeah. Also, yes, Coyote. They do mention the Leclerc, the most interesting tank of all time.
Oh,
No, the
driving
Leclerc is
mishaps,
not.
I mean,
wrong
interesting
turn.
in the sense that it makes budget hawks cry.
Well, yeah, because it's an expensive tank due to the autoloader,
Oh,
and on top of that, it's French.
I like the forging. Oh, come on,
Yes, the
where's the
foraging
toaster?
tables, like a
Where's
lot of
the
this
toaster?
is details. They even have like things about like
Gears,
Arctic
medical
Circle for time.
supplies, fuels, and
Twinkies.
seals.
They have Twinkies.
Yes, they do.
Yes,
D6 rations of domestic food.
yeah,
Yellowed
the travel
copy of
section,
Twilight 2000 RPG
2000.
First Edition.
Yeah, I know. They have that in the salvage list, which I think is really funny.
Let's see.
Uh,
Marching, driving. Where's the salvage list? I'm doofus.
It's in forging.
Thank you. I was a little bit behind you guys.
it's pretty close to the end of the book. Like
An
this is the
electric
player's guide.
toothbrush.
Yeah, like
Oh,
anything you need, like this is just a really good thing for like what could you find?
Infant
I
formula, which counts
movies.
as field rations.
Movies, DVDs.
A toy sword. One of my favorite ones was a hair dryer, which is
Yeah.
like okay,
Video game console.
a lady's hat.
I love how the yellowed copy of Twilight is just worthless in most regards.
It is like who the fuck is gonna buy that? Well, no, wait, it's worth 10 bullets.
Yeah, you can still
Uh,
get bullets out of it.
You use a
or
toilet
traded for
paper.
equivalent. Yeah, it's still somewhat useful.
Let's see,
Some of
camp
the
mishaps,
I mean,
lice.
it's more valuable than a credit card.
yeah,
Yeah,
they
so
talk about
that's
like
Hunting and
your
how to
survival.
trap.
exploring city travel, water travel, bare ground, like
Hunting
how.
grouse requires shotgun.
Well, yeah, because you're trying to hit that thing in the fucking air.
Yeah.
You can also like say trapping, what you can get out of trapping, food you can get out of it, and the other thing about boar is that you can actually get radiation out of that because of well, what they eat.
Yep.
What do you mean?
Okay, so
Pigs don't
boars
really care.
are they're scavengers.
Oh,
So a lot of what they eat is also root vegetables and things deep in the ground when they can dig them up.
And plants
So
have a very strong habit of absorbing radiation.
exactly. So the radiation goes into the roots of these plants that they eat, which means that like the wild boar around like Chernobyl, you can't actually eat them.
Well, you
If you
can, but you're
do,
going to regret life if you do.
it's basically like the equivalent of giving yourself like probably a minor case of radiation poisoning. Uh,
Congratulations, you gave yourself a very minor polonium cocktail and fucked up your intestines for a few weeks. Have fun!
exactly. Have fun. Like it's not fun to eat that sort of stuff. You start to get irradiated.
Russian swear
Um,
words intensify as the blood comes out.
Grenade fishing, which they mention, which is of course,
It requires no skill either. It just gives you food.
well, yeah, because you're fucking tossing an explosive into the water.
I'm just no. Hear me out. I have a really stupid idea where you chuck in like an unexploded piece of missile ordnance from like a fucking. I'm just gonna throw a fucking Type A explosive into this lake.
Yeah. Uh, in any case, they talk about like camping, resting, mishaps, all this bare ground, and then lastly is well the thanks to the backers and a index.
Yep.
And that is the player's guide for Twilight 2000 4th edition. As I said, it's not a long book.
It's a
It's
short,
one of the short.
pretty dense one
It's
though.
but it's very dense, and it is if you are a player, it's everything you actually would need to play the game. It has all your statistics. It has all of the rules for combat. The GM's guide basically relies on this. The referee's manual sort of relies on this book in order to function fully because it references some stuff in there along the way, like the encounter rules and all that. I won't get too in depth on that because I think that if you are considering running it, I would say that you should read the referee's book on your own. Uh, I do recommend this game. I think it is a very, very, very well put together and faithful like update of the original Twilight 2000 concept. It also has a really funny, uh, like, all right, it has sort of this funny feeling to it where you have to understand that this game really came out like just before the invasion of Ukraine, and it was sort of like
Oh,
there
that's
was
unfortunate.
yes. So like this came out like I think a year or 2 years before, and they had a
Wait,
bunch
no,
of
that's
stuff
like
that
first edition all over. Oh no, history's repeating.
well, the funny bit about it is not that they bought it, it's that the company backed off on publishing some stuff that had been kickstarted for years.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
We only recently got the Black Madonna after promising it for like a year and a half. It's a great adventure. It's a good update of the original,
Is
and
that the one they have on
there's
Foundry?
they have all of them on Foundry. If you wanted
I just
to
want
run
to
this game
because they
digitally,
they support Foundry, so if you
yes,
thought this was good, you can go to Foundry and
you
if you
can
give
purchase
them
the
money,
core.
yes.
You can purchase the core. You can purchase any of the other expansions on individually, and put your toes in the water. The Foundry also comes with the books in the module, which is kind of nice. Uh, I would say that this is a game that if you wanted to run it, you kind of have to lean into the simulationist aspects of it, though. Like that's part of the
Especially for
fun of
vehicle
this.
combat.
Yeah, like like if you have a tank, if your group got lucky enough to start with a tank, how are you dealing with that?
Where the
Uh,
hell did you
or,
find a T-64? I borrowed it off of some Soviets. They're not going to need it anymore.
and that's the other bit that I like about this is that this is a game where if you have a collection of like old war material info, like this is a game where theoretically there was that one German guy with a panther in his basement.
What?
You never heard about this?
No, he
So
hasn't.
there's one crazy German collector dude that rebuilt a panther in his basement, like the tank. Uh,
You could also essentially have
Um.
as a joke. I
Well, he was. Well, I want to say that. So, if I'm looking this up, guy was also fined $300,000 for possessing a World War II era Panther tank and a cache of Nazi weapons in his basement.
That doesn't
yes, he
help.
had a bunch of machine guns, so that's
Was now
probably
here's
why he
my thing:
got
was he a
fined.
collector or was he one to restart the Reich?
No,
Probably a
he was just a
collector.
weird collector. And admittedly, though, when you've got a fucking tank in your basement, I can see why the console's fining you for
So
that.
Hans, you have a Panzer 5 Panther. You have five different copies of the MG42, an MG34, MP18, MP38, MP40, MP44, as well as the Gewehr 43. Are you trying something? Do we have to be concerned? You're running very clearly against our censorship laws. You didn't even remove
No,
the
no, no,
emblem.
no, no. No, don't worry, don't worry. There's no beer halls around me.
But I was also going to say, as a shitpost, what you could also do, because of all of the tank museums that exist in Europe, you could do what I like to call the Oldsmobile army, where you get a bunch of people that essentially get them back up the semi-functionality.
Right. There's a lot of old vehicle depots around, and some of the early Cold War stuff is not mentioned, like M48s and a few other like they don't have the Chieftain here, though the Chieftain would still be a pretty major part of the British Army of the Rhine at this point. There's a few other things that are sort of lacking out of the core book. Again, fan modules fix this. There's a vast array of stuff that's on like Drive Through RPG for this,
Yes, there
though
is.
getting your hands on it like
As
on
for the
specific
rating
stuff
I'm
can
going
be
to
a little
give this
tricky.
book, it's a bit dense. I'm not. There's a couple of mechanics I'm not the biggest fan of, but honestly, they have to exist for the game for simulationist purposes. It's a bit rough to get familiar with, particularly the vehicles, but it's simple. The system they use is good. I'm gonna rate this. I'm gonna rate this a good. I think it's a good book.
I think this is good. It's definitely not an amazing. It's not like a perfection. There's some teething problems with adapting this into the Year Zero engine. Um, I think it's a good system. I think it's a good setting. I think it's kind of great that it's incredibly flexible for what kind of game you want to run with it. There is not as much guidance given as you would think, though, in the referee's handbook for certain things, because they were, again, assuming that they'd publish these modules relatively soon after this original, and then the real world hit, and they weren't really sure if they should or not. And so they backed off on it and they pursued a few other
Well,
projects, and then
they
they've
saw what
returned to
happened
it.
the last time when White Wolf decided to try to talk about Russia. That didn't go well for
Right,
them.
right. Like there's like currently a major ground war in Europe. I don't know if we should publish this right now.
We might get sued
Uh,
to oblivion or protested.
Right. Some of the stuff that they have though, the referee's guide gives, for example, a layout of like all the units currently active in Poland, along with the TOE, including like how many men are actually alive here, what's their
Which is
equipment
useful
like.
to have. Or you could
It's
just do what
great,
I think the true strength of the book is. So you've just had a limited mass nuclear exchange, and most of the world is at least partially collapsed in the aftermath. What do you do?
right? And that's kind of the charm of this is that like the worst, but somehow the best way to play this is like as a post-apocalyptic road trip movie.
Yeah, I was actually, if you're curious, I was thinking of, since you mentioned the United Kingdom, the unholy love child of the first Mad Max movie and Scum.
I mean, yeah. Also, the new 28 Days Later
That would also
thing,
work.
the
Oh,
Bone Temple, yeah, that could work.
Saving Private Ryan in the wreckage of Germany.
One of the other ones is effectively like, all right, so you're getting out of a gulag in the middle of Russia, and you need to somehow get out of there.
Oh, what? So what you're saying? The Book of Exodus as members of the Gulag.
That's an option. Another interesting one is I don't know if they go into specifics of what's happening in the Middle East, but if you're part of CENTCOM somewhere in the fucking Middle East, how do you get home? Uh,
No, no,
Another good.
I got it. So as this exchange is happening, there is the big new war between the Allied Arabic powers and Israel, with Egypt staying out of it. The
More
Intifada
likely,
just stopped. What do
more
you do?
likely, uh, more interesting would be like what's going on in India, China, like Korea at this point.
The
Stuff in
Pakistan-India
sub-Saharan Africa
borderline is
could also
just a
be cool.
radioactive wasteland. I'm joking, but nuclear exchanges happened there. You know it did.
No, like speaking of, there is a game that is tangentially related to Twilight 2000 called Merc 2000, which is in an alternate timeline where the nukes didn't actually get launched. And so the Cold War sort of sparked, then it faded, and now it's this big mercenary glut across the globe. And so you're doing like operations in, sub-Saharan Africa, Shanghai, Bangkok, all that sort
hmm.
of area of like basically that you are mercenaries rather than soldiers, which changes how things work a little bit. Uh,
No, no, hear me
worth
out.
worth
Train
looking
to
at.
Busan, but in the aftermath of the Korean War going hot again.
I mean, that could work. There's a lot of options for play here. Part of the only problem I have with it is how tied the travel map is to the system, which can make certain places like if there's not an existing map of it, it can be a bit tricky to build your own.
You're gonna have to make your own, which that is
It is
tedious.
tedious as fuck.
Battle maps
Now,
tedious because you have to include elevation because that's a key element to movement and like attacks and stuff.
sometimes, yeah, the one that I will say that uh that does help is that the community has added a lot of maps on their own.
And
There's
never
good
be afraid
ones
to
for
borrow from fan resources or just commit crimes. That's a very common thing you're going to do as a GM.
yeah. There's a lot of
I didn't feel like making this map, so I'm just gonna. Here's a map I found from Google. It'll work.
yeah. Now, again, some of it's also
Print
that
screen Google Maps. Just dump it onto the Foundry or dump it onto Roll20. Convert it to hex map format. It'll work.
some of it's also just where you set the game can have a very different feel. Like a Sweden campaign is going to be very different than a Poland one. Namely from the fact that if you're in Sweden, you're way more isolated than you are in Poland.
Oh, I have a
There's
fun
less nukes,
introduction.
but
Hear me out. You're all of you are. I call it the Lazarus opener, where you are people who somehow survived getting shot by the French. You were refugees that the French shot on sight, and all of you somehow survived getting shot the first time and played dead until they left.
right. I mean, there's a few. All right. If you want my like, this is the stupid game option, is that you are in Sweden and you're going to try to get your way across Siberia to the Sea of Otosk, because if you can get to Japan, theoretically, there's going to be, like there's the US bases over there.
Yeah, except for the fact that
Oh
I don't know
no!
how the Japanese would act in this
I
case.
have the perfect mental image. The Blues Brothers, where you're part of the US OSA shows, where you're celebrating, where you're entertaining the troops in the aftermath.
Ah! You're fucking
We're on
Bob Barker.
we're on a mission from God.
It's like Bob. It's what's his name? Bob Hope. Yeah, Bob Hope. That is like post-apocalyptic Bob Hope
It's the
touring.
band plays on where you're Bob Hope, the Blues Brothers, that like the equivalent of like a '90s entertainment, like a pop singer,
A pop. It's
like
like the fucking
like
Spice Girls or
like a
whatever.
like a young like a Britney Spears or Spice Girls, yeah. And you just have to get home to America.
Oh no, it's caramel dancing because it's Sweden. But yeah, like highly recommend you take a look at this. I think it's a fantastic
It's the most
modernization
approachable
of an old
version
system.
of Twilight 2000. I do have some of the older stuff, but a lot of it had to be compiled into documents instead because it's
Right.
just easier to relay. It is a pain to run some of the older ones.
Oh,
This is kind of
the
quick.
old formats and
Are
battle maps and
rough.
stuff for that, like okay, it can get rough. Like this is at least a system that is designed to be playable faster, which there's
It uses a
cons and
system
there's
you're
pros.
probably a bit familiar with. It's quick to make the life. Oh, I'm sorry, your character died. You just roll on the life path. You
The
just
life path is much simpler, which is nice.
look. I'm sorry, Tech. Your character died. And you already rolled a character because it's just really quick. Like it only took you 20 minutes. All right, back into the game. Yeah, this was a
Yeah,
good book.
yeah. Again, recommend. What about next week?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm. Nuclear Hellfire is what we've just covered. Well, I mean, robots are powered by nuclear fusion. I wouldn't necessarily say no to Mechaton Zeta. Or we could just look at more crap again. I have more crap books.
We could do another BattleTech video, though that would probably be a thing going over one of the TROs or something like that.
Max it is then.
All right, BattleTech? Sure, fair. Actually,
Battle
that's a good point. We covered
some
a hex map game. Let's cover another hex map game.
That's our connection. That's our line in the sand
I
here.
connected it. You didn't connect shit. I connected it.
we'll find the TRO.
So yeah, next week, BattleTech,
Oh yeah,
TRO.
TRO boondoggles. I bet. I think I've got that.
Oh yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, next week, TRO Boondoggles. See you guys.